we're online. So hi everyone, and welcome to our Winter AI edition. I'm Vlad, and yeah, all I want to say is Das Vidania. Last week with our now, if you're from Romania, you know. If you're not from Romania, you should know we had some interesting election time, and I started learning Russian as a result. Put that on hold. All I know is Das Vidania. But yeah, who knows what will come in a couple of months? So let's wait and see. But back to AI. We've gathered here together to talk about artificial intelligence, and believe it or not, you can use artificial intelligence for other things than manipulating elections. Mind blown, I have to say. Like, you know, for example, building smart apps or building copilots or building agents. Those are kind of the three things I've settled on. Well, in today's edition, we'll be talking a lot about copilots, like a lot. So I have the agenda in front of me, and like 75% of the talks are about copilots, and one talk is about, well, AI Studio from Microsoft, which you can use to build copilots. So you can imagine how popular this topic is. But yeah, just before we start, we shouldn't forget that you can actually use AI for other things as well, right? You can use it for building apps, like translating text, extracting structured information, putting AI into the core of an application. Not necessarily for chat, but helping you to build the logic for the app. For better or worse, right? Because in some cases it's very predictable and works beautifully, especially in demos. But in other cases, like in production applications, it's so interesting and it makes you feel the joy of being alive. I know I do, right? But that's, for me, that's one use case, right? Another use case, the one I mentioned, is copilots, right? Assistants, things, entities that help us, well, do stuff, right? In my case, they help us write me, or they help us, well, they help me write code, generate ideas, and find new ways to curse, to use swear words at inanimated objects because they do not understand what I want all the time. Life. Yeah, so those are copilots, assistants, yeah, things you can chat with. And then there's agents. And I know I just want to talk a bit about this. Everybody sees agents as this kind of, way to automatically run some smart workflows, like some very smart copilots. I can tell Copilot, okay, run a market analysis of the top 3 conferences in Romania. Tell me what you can find about them, which is cool, because then you would get a smart agent that runs Google queries, processes the text, runs some math, maybe even opens up Excel. I don't know. That's one way of thinking about an agent. But another way of thinking about agents is as giving you the ability to simulate worlds, or even really tiny worlds. And this is, to be honest, a feature I'm really excited about. Maybe we'll chat about that at a later time. But I just yeah, couldn't resist mentioning it. But back to today, copilots. What do we have for the schedule? Well, in a few minutes' time, we'll have a talk about semantic kernel and copilots, right? And we figured, you may have noticed that although I'm not speaking in Russian, I'm also not speaking in Romanian. The ones that noticed that, very astute, thanks. This is because half of our speakers are international speakers. So I figured, and also we have members from the audience, international members from the audience. And I figured, yeah, I would do the intro in a language that everybody can understand. But after my intro, we'll start speaking Romanian as if by magic, right? For a while, and then we will switch back to English. Disclaimer, right? So first talk, semantic kernel, and Copilot. The title is Building a Full Code Copilot with Microsoft Semantic Kernel, with MVP extraordinaire Daniel Costa, and also co-organizer of this beautiful conference. You will get the chance to ask questions. Please enter any and all questions in the chat. You may have noticed we have an online panel, an AI fireside chat at the end. Please specify if your question is for the current speaker or for the panel. We'll gather those and we'll ask the best ones at the end. All right, I would like to also add Daniel to the stream if I can. Daniel, can you add yourself? Just nod. You can't. Technology is so weird, and if I had a Copilot to fix this, it would be awesome. But boom, as if by magic. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Vlad. Thank you for the introductory speech. And I think, as you promised, I will switch to Romanian for our Romanian fellows.
Are you ready, audience?
Yes, I'm. Oh, me, I am.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
Bun. Acum, magia. De ce ne-am hotărât să facem sesiunea română? Este pentru că sunt multe materiale despre semantic kernel și în engleză și în alte limbi și nu așa de multe, cel puțin nu am întâlnit material despre semantic kernel în română. Așa că haideți să ajung mai ușor la voi. Astăzi o să vorbesc despre cum putem să construim un copilot doar din cod. Și pentru asta dați-mi voie să fac share la screen.
Eu mă voi retrage misterios și îți voi da scena.
Ok, probabil dacă poți să comuți pe prezentare, nu știu dacă pot eu, poate pot eu. Am zis sharing the screen, acum probabil că tu poți să... Ok, haide că mă uit, uite, acum mă văd pe mine în stream, dar aș vrea să vedem prezentarea, dacă mă poți ajuta. Perfect. Bun, deci, așa cum spuneam, vom vedea azi mai multe tehnici prin care putem să construim copiloți. Adică folosindu-ne de servicii Microsoft cu cod puțin sau chiar fără a apela la cod, dar începem întâi într-un mod mai tradițional în care construim un copilot integral folosindu-ne de cod. Cred că, dar am să amintesc de ce e bine să putem să construim un copilot doar din cod, pentru că s-ar putea să avem niște sisteme închise, niște medii închise, unde nu putem să apelăm servicii de tip cloud sau care sunt over the internet. Și atunci, da, ne-ar plăcea să putem să avem totul pe mașina proprie sau în rețeaua privată. Așa că acest lucru este posibil dacă ne construim integral copilotul. Dar haideți să trec mai repede. Să știți că sesiunea aceasta este foarte practică, povești mai puține. Este de fapt o prezentare de tip step by step și o să implementăm ceea ce prezint imediat în cod. Și ca să-mi ajungă timpul, o să încep imediat. Primul pas ar fi să ne pregătim aplicația și să inițializăm pachetele de tip NuGet. Acum, dacă ați sperat ca acest cod să fie în Python, vreau să vă dau vestea bună că foarte similar puteți să faceți acești pași în Python, pentru că semantic kernel are deopotrivă biblioteci sau SDK pentru C Sharp, dar și pentru Python. Așa că dacă urmăriți cu mine firul, vreau să vă asigur că la fel de ușor și probabil 95% aceiași pași îi urmați și pentru Python ca să obțineți același fel de Copilot. Bun. Deschidem Visual Studio și creăm un proiect nou. Și zicem Copilot Winter AI Demo. Acesta este acum proiectul implicit. Este o aplicație de tip consolă care face doar atât, afișează mesajul Hello World. Însă, haideți să încercăm să ținem pas cu pas. Zice așa, să instalăm întâi aceste biblioteci de funcții. Așa că mergem și le căutăm în NuGet Repository. După cum vedem aici, semantic kernel este spart în multe module pentru că exact asta e ideea, să fie modular, să nu obținem o aplicație cu multe dependențe pe care nu le folosim. Nu, noi vrem să fie lightweight, adică ușoară, doar cu minimum de dependențe. Și pentru aceasta și de data aceasta ne cam ajungem Microsoft Semantic Kernel, pentru că aici se găsesc funcțiile core, adică funcțiile principale prin care noi vom obține ce vrem azi. Ok, durează puțin. Acum se instalează dependențele. Dar și dacă acest package console manager sau package manager e cam leneș azi, o să mergem pe scurtătură și da, iată că s-a simțit vizat. Așa că am pus aici dependențele. Ce iubesc eu la Microsoft Semantic Kernel că ăștia în mod continuu introduc funcții noi și dacă exemplul de acum 2 ore pe care l-am revizuit era cu versiunea 1.31, iată, deja avem 1.32. Probabil suntem printre primii care îl instalează. Și atunci, tot am... Ok, mergem pe fir. Deci am instalat Semantic Kernel și, după cum bine știți, serviciile de tip OpenAI sau Azure OpenAI sau GPT, știți că sunt pe bani. Așa că vom avea nevoie să obținem o cheie de acces, lucru pe care îl putem face creându-ne un cont pe OpenAI sau un Azure OpenAI. Nu o să trec acum prin acest proces fiindcă e destul de laborios, durează. Și atunci, desigur, le-am obținut deja, urmează doar să le folosesc. Dacă dau click dreapta pe proiect și îi zic Manage User Secrets, atunci Visual Studio îmi pune la dispoziție un fișier de tip JSON, de tip Key Value Pairs, de tip perechi de cheie și valoare și acolo le-am putea vedea, dar nu vreau să vi le arăt pentru că pot fi folosite și abuzate, deci nu vrem asta, dar credeți-mă pe cuvânt, sunt acolo. Așa că am să adaug totuși niște dependențe care îmi vor permite să le folosesc. Deci sunt acolo, ca într-un black box. Doar le voi citi. Cum facem asta? Adaug user secrets ID spre acest loc cu secrete, în care stă și cheia pentru serviciul OpenAI care este pe numele meu, pe contul meu. Deci, venim aici, punem la locul său ID-ul și gata. Am acces la secretele mele. De ce? Pentru că dinainte, la celelalte module, am setat deja acest lucru. Și am zis că urmăm pașii și vedem ce urmează. Păi zice că îmi creez ori în Visual Studio un proiect nou, ori în linia de comandă, am putea, folosindu-ne de .NET Runtime, ei, nu mai e cazul să rulăm acești pași, pentru că am creat deja proiectul, nu mai e cazul nici să adăugăm dependențele din linia de comandă, pentru că le-am adăugat deja din Visual Studio, așa că trecem direct la pasul cu secretele. Așa ne adăugăm secrete noi din linia de comandă, folosind din nou comenzile de la .NET Runtime, inițializând user secrets și după aceea adăugând perechi de tip cheie valoare. Aici ar urma să vină cheia secretă pe care o obțineți din contul vostru de OpenAI, despre care am spus că trebuie să-l creați voi. Așa că și acesta este un pas peste care putem sări, fiindcă îl avem deja. Și iată, în sfârșit, putem să îl folosim. Dacă merg și execut această bucată de cod, configuration, builderul îmi va construi un obiect care se conectează direct la acest JSON unde sunt ținute secretele și după aceea eu pot, pe bază de index, să citesc unul câte unul aceste secrete. Haideți să vedem Model ID, pentru că cu ăsta nu risc, să zic așa, să mi le expun dacă vi-l arăt. De fiecare dată când execut un proiect nou, antivirusul meu, cel puțin, vrea să îmi scaneze codul ca să se asigure că nu e compromis. Așa că mă frânează acum câteva secunde. Come on. Da, s-a oprit pentru că eram aici. Haideți să pun un punct virgulă, că dacă nu ne oprim aici, nici nu pot să vă arăt. Trebuie să ne oprim undeva. Și iată, Model ID GPT-4o, pentru că eu am adăugat azi sau în altă zi, acolo la secrete, ID-ul modelului. Respectiv, tot acolo avem și cheia despre care v-am spus. Ok, mergem mai departe. Am o sugestie cum am face asta din linia de comandă. Deci vreau numai puțin să mai insist pe treaba asta. Deci dacă deschid o aplicație de tip consolă, pentru cei care ați mai lucrat cu .NET, puteți să vă faceți un folder unde vreți să țineți proiectul și să lansați în execuție liniile dinainte pe care vi le-am indicat și care sunt așa. Prima dată, .NET New Console, -n vine de la nume și acesta este numele proiectului, în cazul nostru Robot Car Assistant. După aceea intrăm în acest folder și adăugăm dependențele. Toate aceste comenzi ne vor crea o aplicație minimală de tip consolă cu aceste referințe deja adăugate. Și după aceea, similar acești pași prin care adăugăm secretele. Și toate acestea ne vor aduce exact în situația pe care o avem deja dincoace în Visual Studio, unde am ajuns într-un mod interactiv și nu în mod linie de comandă. Așa că mă întorc la firul nostru și iată, pentru a putea să ne folosim de funcțiile din semantic kernel, avem nevoie să instanțiem un obiect de tip kernel. Îl copiem de aici. Un obiect de tip kernel, care ce face? Are un kernel builder și vrea să adauge un serviciu de tip AI în kernel ca să știm, să putem în continuare să vorbim cu un model de tip LLM sau Large Language Model. Așa că e suficient ID-ul și cheia pentru ca kernelul nostru să știe să se conecteze direct la serviciul OpenAI și de aici încolo putem deja să pregătim un prompt și să-l trimitem. O să mergem pe varianta cea mai banală, adică pur și simplu voi simula lucrul pe care îl facem noi cu ChatGPT. Că cred că cu ChatGPT am lucrat cu toții. Așa că, iată, un prompt, da? Un prompt și mai facem un pas, o interogare. Și după interogare afișăm la consolă răspunsul. Cea mai scurtă aplicație pe care o putem face folosindu-ne de semantic kernel și de setările sale implicite, pentru că e mai mult decât se vede evident, adică de bună seamă. Haideți să lansez în execuție și să vedem ce răspunde. După aceea analizăm puțin. Lăsăm, punem puțin deoparte răspunsul și să ne uităm puțin ce am făcut. Am un prompt care zice așa, că avem un asistent de tip AI care controlează un robot capabil să facă niște mișcări de bază. Stânga, dreapta, înainte, înapoi. Și sarcina acestui asistent este să spargă comenzile prea complexe pentru a fi înțelese prin aceste mișcări de bază în mișcările de bază. Să vă dau un exemplu. Dacă îi spun iau la stânga, atunci el va face left, turn left. Și e simplu, dar dacă îi spun învârte-te în cerc, atunci el va trebui să înțeleagă că trebuie să se rotească de vreo 4 ori la 90 de grade ca să descrie un cerc. Ați prins ideea. Deci asta e. Îi dau comenzi complexe care nu pot fi asimilate niciuneia dintre comenzile simple și mă aștept ca modelul de limbaj, adică GPT în cazul nostru, să spargă această cerință complexă în elementele de bază, care, așa cum le-am afișat aici mai sus, sunt înainte, înapoi, stânga, dreapta, stop. Bun. Și după aceea îi dau o comandă complexă. De exemplu, there is a tree directly in front of the car. Avoid it and then resume the initial direction. Ce mă aștept aici? Mă aștept ca modelul GPT să înțeleagă că robotul are nevoie de asistență care să-l instruiască cum să evite obstacolul. Și atunci, ori cu ea prin stânga, ori cu ea prin dreapta, dar de bună seamă nu vrem să se ducă direct în obstacol. Orice altă variantă ar fi acceptabilă, dar, desigur, am fi încântați să vedem că ocolește copacul și își continuă direcția inițială. Asta am vrea. Adică ceva de genul, iau la dreapta, mai du-te puțin înainte, după aia înapoi în stânga și continuă, tot înainte. Deci cam asta am vrea să vedem. Răspunsul zice că întâi se oprește, iată, ce drăguț, acest ChatGPT uneori e foarte vorbăreț, ca și de data asta. Adică nu numai că ne spune ce face, adică nu numai că ne indică pașii, dar chiar și ne explică și zice așa: stop, first halt the car to assess the situation and avoid collisions. Bun. După aia, turn right, forward, turn left, forward, turn left, forward. Deci, dacă ne imaginăm, da?
Daniel, o observație, nu știu, poate tu vrei să faci share și la altceva decât slide-uri?
Și nu se vede.
Se văd doar slide-urile.
Mulțumesc că mi-ai spus. Păi, da, vreau să fac la tot ecranul. Mulțumesc că mi-ai spus. Hai să mai fac o dată share. Screen sharing. Ok. Acum se vede?
Da, se vede Visual Studio Code.
Ok. Atunci mă duc puțin înapoi ca să vă spun ce am aici. Ziceam acum câteva minute bune că am acest User Secrets ID care îmi dă mie acces la locul unde țin cheia de acces de la OpenAI. Și tot aici vedem cum am instalat dependențele spre semantic kernel, respectiv spre modulul care se ocupă de user secrets. Și acum codul. Încă o dată. În această linie citim secretele. Ele vor fi populate în obiectul configuration și după aceea le tragem în acest serviciu care se inițializează pentru kernel. După ce trecem de această linie, noi avem un obiect de tip kernel care este conectat la OpenAI și care are instrumentarul prin care poate să interogheze cu prompturi modelele de la OpenAI. Așa că tot ce ne mai trebuie este un prompt și să-l trimitem la OpenAI. Și explicam, așa în gol, din păcate, explicam că acest prompt are sarcina de a înțelege cerințe mai complexe, human-like, adică sigur, e ușor semantic când îi spui iau la stânga, iau la dreapta, e ușor să transforme în left-right, dar e mai complicat dacă îi spui să se învârtă în cerc sau să evite un obstacol sau să facă o manevră evazivă, să danseze, să, să meargă pe conturul unui dreptunghi. Ei, toate astea, pentru model, înseamnă, deja din ce înțelege el încă din faza de antrenare, înseamnă niște pași. Și noi vrem să-l constrângem să transforme astfel de comenzi complexe într-o succesiune de pași simpli, așa cum i-am sugerat înainte, forward, backward, turn left, turn right and stop. Și atunci orice comandă complexă, care nu poate fi direct asimilată uneia dintre comenzile de bază, urmează să fie spartă de către model. Și atunci cea mai simplă aplicație pe care noi o putem face, care să simuleze că noi putem să luăm acum bucata asta și să o punem în ChatGPT și ne va da aproximativ același răspuns. Ei, ceea ce vedem noi aici simulează o cerere, un query response pe care îl avem noi de la model. Mai execut o dată și sper că de data asta se vede și rezultatul. Ok. Da. Vedeți că el uneori formatează într-un fel, uneori în altul, dar de fiecare dată observăm intenția de a se opri, de a evalua situația și de a face manevrele necesare ca să ocolească uh, obstacolul. Ce avem aici? Exact ce i-am sugerat. Comenzi de bază. Stop, turn right, forward, turn left și again forward. Dacă ne imaginăm puțin, exact asta face. O ia așa prin dreapta, își corectează direcția, vine înapoi spre stânga și pleacă mai departe. Ei bine, asta este o interogare în manieră ChatGPT, dar noi aici scriem cod pe care să-l poată folosi aplicațiile um, serioase care comunică de la user la mașină sau mașină-mașină. Adică nu mai e un chatbot acolo care să ne asiste. Pur și simplu vrem să împachetăm asta într-un modul, să-l automatizăm și să-l integrăm în aplicațiile noastre. Ei, atunci lucrurile încep să devină mult mai rafinate. Și asta vreau să vă arăt. Cum facem noi, cum metamorfozăm acest cod de la un prompt trimis modelului în manieră ChatGPT, cum îl transformăm într-un cod, o să-i spun enterprise, pentru că asta facem. Haideți să ne gândim puțin. Programarea tradițională este modulară, adică nu avem tot codul în, într-un fișier, într-o funcție, da? Sau chiar în linia de comandă. Dar nici aici nu suntem satisfăcuți să avem un prompt încărcat, unic, care rezolvă toate problemele. De ce? Pentru simplu motiv că nu e eficient în medii enterprise. Să ne uităm puțin la promptul ăsta. Păi, faptul că am spus că e un asistent care controlează o mașină este ceva foarte general. Dacă am spus că el e specializat sau capabil să spargă comenzi complexe în comenzi de bază, deja e mai specializat. Da, chiar îi spunea, your task is to break down complex commands, însă când îi spun, iată o comandă complexă și îi spun, there is a tree directly in front of the car și așa mai departe, păi asta e ca și cum i-am hardcodat acțiunea. E ca și când în programarea tradițională noi hardcodăm îmi fac o aplicație care adună 2 cu 5 și hardcodez 2 și 5. Păi aia nu mai e o aplicație pe care o să pot folosi în practică, aș vrea să parametrizez, să-mi facă suma pentru orice input. Ei, la fel aici, această comandă pe care vreau să o dau ar fi acel input variabil al nostru care se schimbă cu fiecare execuție. Deci ceea ce vedem aici este, încă o dată, în manieră ChatGPT, departe de ceva enterprise. Ei, și noi vom face acum niște pași ca să transformăm această simplă interogare de tip ChatGPT într-un Copilot minimalist, atenție, nu, deci el va fi ca structură un Copilot, dar fără feature-urile avansate care l-ar face, să zic, un echivalent de Copilot de Windows sau de alte produse pe care deja începem să le știm, pentru că se vorbește peste tot despre Copilots. Însă, funcțional, are, să zic, atributele unui Copilot. Da, dar, încă o dată, foarte minimalist. Atât putem să facem noi azi. Deci, revenim puțin la pașii noștri. Avem un prompt minimalist însă promptul nostru e de tip cerere, răspuns și gata, a uitat de noi. Haideți să îl îmbunătățim și să-i atribuim memorie. Ca să facem din acest prompt un copilot sau chiar mai puțin, un chatbot, noi avem nevoie să-i dăm memorie, pentru că el trebuie să țină minte interacțiunea pe care o are cu modelul, ca să-și construiască context. Și asta vrem și noi să facem. Așa că iată cum facem. Păi, în primul rând, instanțiem un obiect de tip chat. Ăsta este de fapt serviciul nostru AI, însă în loc să ne folosim de kernel ca să trimitem interogări la model, o să ne folosim de acest obiect de tip chat completion ca să, din nou, trimitem interogări la model. De ce facem asta? Pentru că chat completion este un model mai potent care este pregătit să lucreze și cu un istoric, ca să putem să construim încă o dată un context, să construim memorii, da? Un shorter memory. Și, cum v-am spus, așa scoatem, prin dependency injection, scoatem o instanță de tip chat. De unde va ști el că ce să pun aici? Păi, chat completion, interfața aceasta, iChat completion service, este de aici. Am adăugat în kernel acest serviciu care implementează această interfață. Și acum facem invers. Luăm obiectul kernel și scoatem afară un obiect care implementează această interfață. Cu alte cuvinte, am agățat funcția aceasta care putem să facem interogări, fiindcă avem nevoie de ea mai departe. Și totodată ne-am creat și un obiect de tip chat history. De ce? Pentru că în el vom începe să stocăm memorii. Sau, cu alte cuvinte, în el vom începe să stocăm perechi de tip query response. Așa. Hai să facem curat. Rămâne numai chat și history și chat history, dar vedem care sunt următorii pași. Și iată. Păi, următorul pas ar fi să facem ce am anticipat mai devreme. Spargem promptul în două. Adică într-un system prompt. Haideți că le iau și le mut acolo. Într-un system prompt și user prompt. Deci, această bucată am divizat-o în două. De ce? Pentru că vreau în system prompt să păstrez comportamentul mai general al promptului și în variabila prompt, partea sa mai volatilă, care se va schimba mai des. Deci am spart promptul. Următorul pas. Haideți să luăm și explic direct în cod. Așa. Păi, următorul pas este să stochez în chat history promptul de tip sistem. Acest prompt este un prompt special, are superputeri, adică el nu este uitat. Deci, oricâte interacțiuni am avea noi cu modelul de tip chat, da? Întrebare-răspuns, întrebare-răspuns, vă dați seama că la un moment dat zeci, sute, unele vor fi, semantic vorbind, suprascrise de altele mai puternice și cumva înghițite de context și sau știți cum e ca și când vorbești cu un prieten, te mai contrazici. Azi spui ceva, peste două săptămâni spui altceva, că tot se poartă la noi în România. Așa că, așa că se poate întâmpla și aici. Însă acest system prompt este un prompt puternic care nu e uitat de către model. Foarte bine, îl adăugăm primul, History at System Prompt. Și ne-am asigurat că el întotdeauna se va comporta ca un AI Assistant controlling a robot car, indiferent ce îi spunem după, va conta mai puțin. În ce privește profilul. Și atunci mergem mai departe. Haideți să mai facem o mișcare interesantă ca să vedem că putem să accesăm niște proprietăți fine de fine-tuning ale modelului, cum ar fi temperatura, vă explic imediat ce e, dar iată, și alte lucruri, cum ar fi max tokens, adică maxim câți tokeni să conțină răspunsul. Adică să nu se lăcomească, să consume tot creditul, pentru că, hai să zicem, nu e destul de cumpătat promptul meu și consumă. Îl limităm noi. Apoi, sigur, e o limitare hard, adică ăsta chiar taie din răspuns dacă depășește. Însă e bine de ținut minte că max tokens ia în considerare și input-ul și output-ul. Deci dacă voi aveți un input de 2000, atunci unde mai e loc pentru răspuns? Vă țineți asta în minte, că contează și pentru intrare și pentru ieșire în total. Ei, așa, și ziceam că vă spun ce e temperatura. Temperatura se ocupă sau indică modelului cât de creativ vrem noi să fie răspunsul lui. Dacă vrem să scriem o poezie, atunci vrem să ridicăm creativitatea spre maximum fiind 2, dar nu se recomandă să depășim 1 din motive de eficiență. Mergem pe recomandare. Când e o recomandare, povestea în spate s-ar putea să fie mai lungă, așa se recomandă. Însă eu de ce am pus 0.1 sau chiar aș fi putut să forțez 0? De ce? Tastatura mea ia razna. Ok, de ce am pus 0.1? Pentru că eu vreau aici niște pași preciși. Când îi dau să-mi genereze cod, să-mi întoarcă un răspuns de tip JSON, să facă o clasificare, am nevoie de precizie. Atunci turn off, adică îi inhib această creativitate a răspunsului, vreau precizie, nu creativitate. De aceea l-am forțat la 0.1. Așa că, având aceste execution settings, sigur, sunt multe alte proprietăți, dar astea sunt cele mai populare, poate, atunci și asta pot să pasez în interogarea mea. Deci, încă o dată, intenționez să trimit din nou promptul, însă promptul unde este? Păi este lipit, băgat în istoric și atunci eu îi trimit la model tot istoricul. Este ca și când îi spun, vreau un răspuns de la tine, dar ține cont de tot ce am acumulat eu aici pentru tine, tot dialogul nostru, ține-l și atunci răspundem. Evident că aici ceva pare să lipsească, fiindcă are partea aceasta de system prompt, dar iată, încă n-am făcut nimic cu întrebarea propriu-zisă. Ok, hai să facem atunci. Înainte să întrebăm promptul care e treaba, atunci îi zicem add user message. Ok, bun, dacă am făcut asta, history nu răspund. Dacă am făcut acest lucru, că am adăugat și promptul volatil, care am zis eu că ar trebui să se schimbe de fiecare dată, atunci, iată, avem un prompt care citește și partea volatilă și partea fixă. Și vreau să afișez răspunsul. Care n-ar trebui să difere cu mai nimic, adică să fie similar. Și este, după cum vedeți. Haideți să vedem mai departe. Avem, deci, un comportament de tip chat, dar ca să fie un chatbot, am vrea să vedem puțină interactivitate, Păi atunci haideți să-i punem aici să iterăm, da? Iterăm și mergem să inhibăm promptul nostru, nu îl mai dăm hardcodat, ci executăm codul și așteptăm să ne întrebe el. Da, am dezactivat mai multe lucruri pentru că vreau să vedem cum îl transformăm într-un chatbot. Acum deja el e un chatbot aici. Și iată, știe deja că e un asistent capabil să spargă o comandă complexă în unele mai simple și dau și întrebarea și acum ar trebui să-mi răspundă similar, ceea ce și face, cu diferența că eu acum îi pot să zic repeat the last action și ar trebui să ce face? Așa, bun, el asta a înțeles. Care a fost ultima acțiune? Forward. Asta a înțeles. Eu n-am spus să repete acțiunea complexă pe care am dat-o să o spargă. Deci el răspunde corect, adică dacă eu sunt ambigu, e vina mea. Dar se vede, ultima forward, el asta și face. Așa, mai facem un pas, fiindcă încerc să termin în câteva minute, să facem loc colegilor noștri. Ceea ce vreau să vă arăt în continuare este că nu ne oprim. În continuare, luăm partea statică, System Prompt-ul e un pic cam încărcat și acum, adică are o chestie super generală de tip AI Assistant Controlling a Robot Car, dar după aceea am putea ca mecanismul acela care sparge comenzile să-l punem într-un modul specializat, într-un plugin sau mai e cunoscut numele de skill, să-l transformăm într-un skill al asistentului. Și atunci, cum facem asta? Am pregătit-o să mut din cealaltă aplicație ca să economisim timp. Am pregătit și iată cum arată. Deci mergem înapoi aici, scoatem partea asta, pentru că am pus-o într-un fișier special, într-o structură de foldere pe care el o înțelege și care iată ce face. Your task is to break down, deci exact sensul a ceea ce aveam înainte și iată cu un parametru de intrare. Deci frumos, pentru că Semantic Kernel știe să lucreze într-o manieră de coding, adică cu parametri de intrare și de ieșire. Exact ce am zis că vrem dacă ne dorim să transformăm codul acesta în ceva enterprise. Și atunci mergem să vedem cum putem să ne folosim de acest plugin. Păi ar trebui cumva să informăm aplicația noastră că avem nevoie de el. Cum facem asta? Păi așa facem asta să vă arăt că acest plugin este însoțit și de către niște de descrieri, da? Pentru că iată, e bine să descriem unic și cât mai clar, lipsit de ambiguități, mai ales dacă avem mai multe pluginuri, să fie clar ce face acest plugin. Și acest plugin asta face. It breaks down the given complex command in a step-by-step sequence of basic moves. Și i-am spus și că are o variabilă de tip input și pe aceea am descris-o clar. I-am spus și că e obligatorie. Și iată ce am mai făcut. Am mai strecurat aici niște parametri. Răspuns în max 500 de token, temperatura 0,1 că nu vreau creativitate și așa mai departe. Importanți, dar acum nu putem să stăm prea mult să vorbim despre ei. Deci, pluginul nostru e pregătit. Cum îl importăm? Iată așa. Spunem aplicației unde îl găsim și după aia instruim kernelul să importe. să importe acel plugin. În acest moment, eu am organizat promptul, l-am spart și mai mult în partea de plugin sau de skills și am lăsat ce super general aici în system prompt. Dar totodată mai avem bucățica aceea volatilă care se schimbă la fiecare iterație din while, da? Care sunt întrebările noastre. Du-te așa, rotește-te așa și atunci ne așteptăm, desigur, să meargă la fel ca înainte, dar într-o manieră enterprise. Haideți să mai facem un pas. O să sar aici puțin. Acum instruim. Ok, instruim kernel că dacă el identifică o nevoie de a răspunde pe care ne-o poate rezolva skill-ul pe care l-am atașat, să-l folosească. Lucrul acesta nu se întâmplă implicit, decât dacă eu setez și instruiesc execution settings și îi spun așa, vezi că eu ți-am dat niște funcții, niște proceduri, dar noi le zicem skill-uri, prin aceste plugin-uri și tu, dacă găsești similitudine, identifici că te-ar putea ajuta să dai un răspuns mai bun, folosește-le. Asta spunem noi prin această setare de aici. Haideți să vedem dacă am ajuns în go on a circle. Iată că el, în mod normal, dacă nu ar fi văzut pluginul nostru, el din ce vede aici, you are an AI assistant, go in circles, el n-ar fi răspuns cu comenzile noastre de bază. El răspunde pentru că am instruit kernelul să se uite dacă are puteri speciale, aceste pluginuri, și să le folosească. Cum le folosește? Că vă dați seama că noi aici nu suntem la programarea tradițională și nu poate fi, nu putem să le chemăm după sintaxă. Iată, ajungem într-un mod în care în programare sintaxa cade pe locul secund și e mai importantă semantica. Deci noi, practic, apelăm aceste skill-uri pe bază de similitudine semantică, nu pe bază de sintaxă. N-am chemat pluginul după name, l-am chemat după descriere și atunci modelul de inteligență artificială se uită la descriere, știe ce trebuie lui și decât să halucineze că nu are un răspuns, mai bine ia din skill-uri. Și exact ăsta e mecanismul de atenție pe care se bazează, așa și zice, attention mechanism, pe care se bazează construirea răspunsului. Și pentru noi este ca și când facem programare într-o manieră tradițională, dar folosindu-ne de puterea AI-ului. Îmi dați seama că dacă eu am pus pe automat treaba asta, dacă el consideră că trebuie să cheme din mai multe direcții, așa, o va face. Ca și cum am fi dat noi pași cu pași, doar că aici ai partea care mie mi se pare, aici ai puterea AI-ului, că nu trebuie să mai zici tu pașii. El își scrie pașii. Bun, mergem mai departe, că mai am puțin și nu vreau să vă las chiar așa, fără ultima bucățică. Ok, mai e aici o bucățică pe care vreau să o arăt. Noi ce avem aici, putem să spunem, forță un pic ideea, că avem un chatbot. Da? Că e un chatbot. Dacă îți răspunde la întrebări, e un chatbot. Însă, ca să-l facem copilot, ar trebui să poată să ia singur niște acțiuni. Da? Asta îi lipsește ca să putem să zicem, din nou un pic forțăm ideea, dar să putem să zicem că avem un copilot. Ei, și atunci, hai să vedem cum am putea noi să punem în mișcare acest robot, adică să vedem care vrea să miște niște roți. Și putem să facem și asta foarte rapid, pentru că aici am un plugin de tip nativ. Ce este pluginul de tip nativ? Cod C#, cod Python, cod Java, nu contează. Sunt niște funcții pe care, iată, eu le pot chema, dar foarte important, le-am descris cât am putut de bine. Și am zis, vezi că ăsta este un robot car plugin. Vezi că această metodă backward este de fapt o comandă bazică care ne asistă cu mișcarea robotului înapoi. Respectiv, înțelege, iată, un input de tip distanță. Și ce va face în continuare? Păi în continuare el execută codul de aici, dar la fel de bine am putea să chemăm motoarele unui robot. Cu alte cuvinte, acest copilot poate să fie copilotul unei mașini, unui proiect de tip IoT, care chiar asistă robotul în mod inteligent cu comenzile noastre. Noi îi spunem dansează și el va sparge această acțiune în niște mișcări de bază și va acționa motoarele. Chiar asta va face. Așa, și chiar mă grăbesc, promit că termin, Vlad, în 2 minute. Și iată, hai să-l importăm și pe ăsta, atât mai avem de făcut, să-l importăm și pe ăsta. Da, că l-am creat, dar trebuie să-l importăm. Unde ești? Semantic functions, native functions și iată-l aici. Așa. Iată, o singură linie avem nevoie ca să îl importăm. Unde ești? De exemplu aici. Am zis această clasă, bineînțeles trebuie să mă uit cum i-am dat numele aici. Numele era bine, referințe trebuie. Așa, acum i-am adăugat și ce mă aștept să se întâmple? Mă aștept să se întâmple ca atunci când modelul răspunde cu cuvintele magice înainte, înapoi și semantic să aibă sensul că el descrie niște pași, mă aștept ca acest skill, care înseamnă în pluginul meu nativ pe care tocmai l-am adăugat, acest skill să se trigăruiască și el să meargă înainte sau înapoi în funcție de ce îi se spune. Hai să vedem cum se va întâmpla asta. Totul merge pe pilot automat, fiindcă avem deja acest function choice behavior și atunci să lansăm. Și ce să zic? Îi zic din nou, iată că am pregătit aici și să vedem am desenat cu galben adică afișez cu galben ceea ce ar însemna mișcările motorului și zic. Și iată ce face, cu gri este bla blaul, da? Însă iată ce face, turn right. Și chiar aici m-aș aștepta, și nu văd de ce, că comand de fapt funcție nativă, să se întoarcă 90 de grade, să meargă înainte 5 metri, se întoarce stânga 90 de grade, mai merge 5 metri, încă o dată stânga 5 metri și iarăși pe drumul lui. Da? Deci face. Asta am vrut să spun. Ne oprim aici. Îmi cer scuze fiindcă m-am întins un pic cam mult, dar asta e demul meu și Vlad, te rog să preiei controlul. Mulțumesc foarte mult.
Bun. Awesome. Well, stai. Nu, unde pleci?
Vorbesc, dar vorbesc așa discret.
Înțeleg, incognito. Aveam și o întrebare scurtă, dar, mă rog, erau mai multe, dar de fapt aveam și o întrebare. Dar pentru că Alin a întrebat pe chat, dau prioritate publicului. Și Alin întreabă, de ce nu am lăsat și system prompt-ul să fie mai detaliat, chiar și cu skill-ul atașat? Rimează.
Încă o dată, de ce nu am lăsat? Scrie acolo?
Scrie în chat și acum scrie și pe ecran.
De ce nu am lăsat să fie sistem promptul? Păi acum, sigur că am avut tot interesul să-l sparg ca să exemplific, dar un sistem prompt poate să aibă în el reguli și validări, chestii de grounding, de etică, poate să fie stufos. Da, așa este. De ce nu am lăsat? Doar din rațiuni practice, pentru ca eu să scriu cod să nu vă încurc. Dar altfel, un sistem prompt e de regulă mult mai stufos.
Punem totul acolo.
Punem tot ce vrem să nu se schimbe. Reguli cardinale.
Ok. Mulțumim. O să trecem acum spre Mihaela, care așteaptă în lobby. Bună, Mihaela!
Bună! Mă auziți?
Se aude.
Super!
Da, total.
Minunat!
Bună!
Okay.
Stai! Tu vorbești în engleză, nu-i așa?
Da. Dar putem să testăm și share screen-ul în română.
În română.
Da.
Ok.
Ia să vedem dacă funcționează. Testăm. Să punem și la prezentare.
Și îl vom scoate pe...
Se vede slide-ul?
Nu trecem în engleză. Stai, 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's
okay.
good.
It's good. You can see my slides. Are they moving? Do you see the agenda?
I see the agenda.
Great. Let's go back then.
Glorious. So you'll be talking today about copilots. What a novel idea.
Yeah. Have you heard about it?
Just on Twitter, but
yeah, I know there are a lot of discussions about Copilot and a lot of noise around this, which one to use better and so on. That's not going to be the presentation or the discussion today. I'm basically going to showcase a way in which we can use it in Teams. If you are using Teams in your day-to-day work at your job or anything, maybe you had at some point the need to just have some information integrated and actually have the answer directly into the chat. So yeah, we are going to discuss some concepts in the beginning, of the.
Can you get it to just ping you if your name is mentioned? That's all I want. Like in a conversation, just zap you electrically if your name is mentioned.
No, it doesn't. I'm guessing it's because the full focus is on the presentation. So when you're presenting, it's blocking anything else.
Not as useful then. Sorry.
It's okay. I promise I won't talk very much. And I'll look into the chat. I'll try.
No. So I meant that in a Teams call.
Oh, I thought.
Name. Yeah. You ruined the joke. Never mind. It was a hilarious joke. I laughed inside.
Vlad, I'll get the jokes after the presentation.
I'll let you to it.
Okay, so hello again. It's very good to actually have this season of AI, but in the winter time, I wish we would actually feel like it's winter outside. It feels more like November, but yeah, it is what it is. Just some words about today. We are going to explore how to create and extend custom copilots, if we can call them like this, using the Teams AI library and .NET. You're going to see that my demo it's taking a bit of another direction when it comes to the technology, but the technology itself, it's not the main focus in this presentation, but more like how we can integrate this Copilot into our teams. So of course, with the rapid advancements that we have in AI, Microsoft Copilot, right, offers great potential enhances user experiences, streamlines processes, makes technology more intuitive and accessible, right? Everyone agrees about how amazing, how great it is to use AI. We're curious, we are still learning, right? So we don't make a lot of suppositions, or we try or draw all the conclusion all at once, but at least we like to experiment and to see what we can do. And it's not only about developers, but also about business people, right? Everyone is using some sort of Copilot. Well, for everyone, this session actually is going to show you how to build this Copilot that's tailored to your unique needs and data, let's say. But yeah, let's make things make sense more as we dive into the agenda, because the discussion that I'm proposing today is divided into 3 key sections. First, we are going to explore the Copilot stack, a bit how it works, or what is the fundamental architecture that powers this amazing tools that we are discussing so much about. Then we are going to discuss a bit about Teams AI library, because this is what enables us to build conversation, and not only random conversation, but more like based on a certain context. And then we are going to look a bit at Teams tools toolkit, that is a set of developer tools for building and deploying some custom copilots that we were mentioning. So by the end of this session, at least my objective is for you to have a good starting point for playing with some new tools. I'm going to share some resources with you so that you can try some of the steps that I'm going to mention today later with .NET, with Python, with JavaScript. Just have fun. So when we are talking about building your own Copilot, the first thing to highlight is flexibility, right? You can create a Copilot entirely tailored to your needs by extending Microsoft's existing Copilot capabilities. So basically, we are not losing this amazing part that we are having in Copilot by doing something that who knows how it's going to work. We are just extending it. So we can create focused user experience that delivers some actionable responses that truly resonate with the users that we intend this Copilots to be used, or why not for the fun of ourselves. Okay, extensions are what transform our Copilot from the basic bot, that we know, to an intelligent, task-oriented assistant, right? This is what is the amazing fact about this. Well, with this Copilot extension, you can ground responses with relevant knowledge, bring actions into conversations, craft user experiences that meet very specific requirements. And this modularity allows us to focus on what matters most to our users. We can make it as specific as possible if you want. And actually, this last part is what is going to revolve mostly today in with our conversation. So let's start by breaking down what a custom Copilot is. Building a Copilot involves combining these 3 critical layers, right? The model, which includes orchestrators and fundamental AI models, conversation interface, where we have instructions and triggers, and basically the intent is to create this interactivity that we love so much. And then it's the UX, right, which ensures that we have a smooth and engaging user experience. So together, these components make our Copilot intelligent, responsive, user-friendly, or how it is called lately, right, your pair programmer, someone that you can actually work with and do your tasks on a daily basis. So we were mentioning the model layer. That is foundational, of course, for our Copilot, because it includes, as I was saying, orchestrators. And these orchestrators are managing tasks, foundational models that provide the intelligence, right? and also the data that makes this very personal interaction. So this layer ensures that our Copilot understands and adapts to our users more effectively. You know, that thing that gives us the feeling that we are actually discussing with someone. For example, I have this very strange thing because I'm just thinking that maybe at some point in time, you know, robots are going to be so powerful that we are going to have to live with them. And I always say please and thank you when I'm asking something to Copilot or to ChatGPT or any type of tool that I'm using. I'm polite. I'm thinking about future relationships and peace. Then we have the conversational interface. What makes actually or creates this feeling of interactiveness and human-like interactiveness, using instructions and handlers, intent detection. You know, when we are actually and Daniel was talking about prompting, and he gave in his presentation also some good insights. Basically, this layer enables your Copilot to interpret your user input and provide meaningful responses, right? Creating that flow of a conversation that feels like, okay, at some point is actually reading your mind, understands exactly where you're trying to get, creating that context. And then, of course, the user experience layer that focusing on making interactions more engaging, and it feels like you are interacting very easily with the tool, ensuring some level of trust and actually enjoying using the tool. And since we were discussing about Teams, in Teams we've had chatbot support right from the start, but building bots that felt natural to interact was always sort of challenging, because most bots related on a limited list of declared commands, which felt very not so engaging and very restrictive, and you had to put some sort of very specific input in order to create some kind of expected output, or at least something that you can be guided by. So not so cool. Well, with the introduction of these Teams AI library, we have these bots more evolved and actually having some conversation with them, right? Like we are doing it Copilots. Maybe it's good to mention about this Teams AI library, which is a development toolkit designed to simplify creating AI-powered applications within Microsoft Teams. We can put it like this, right? The library facilitates the integration of prompt management and the safety moderation, and actually we can use both OpenAI and Azure OpenAI for this AI-driven experience. It's using techniques like prompt engineering, as we were discussing before, and everyone discusses about prompting lately, and how important it is to actually shape a good message. So also for this we are using prompt engineering techniques in order to add that Copilot-like conversational experiences and built-in features. But the main objective is actually making your Copilot respond in a very appropriate manner, because in the end, this is what we want. We want it to be natural, and actually we also want it to be very precise into the answers. And this is where we combine the prompt engineering with the tool itself. So it's a 50-50 kind of relationship. Whoever says that you can just give it any prompt and expect that it's going, just pushing the button and having whatever you want to have, everything perfectly, is just daydreaming. At least at this point in the history of AI. Okay, so there are 4 steps to get started with the AI library. First, we are going to create the necessary AI components for our Copilot, which will include importing the library, configuring whatever it is needed. We are going to look a bit later into how we can add some basic configuration. Then we are going to create an application object that represents our Copilot within the environment, and this object will be used to handle messages, process user input, and handle AI triggered action. So this is actually where the where the magic happens, but you're going to see that you don't have to do, at least for the basic basic task, you don't have to do a lot of configuration into this part. Then you'll create a prompt, of course, for the Copilot, and finally implementing the actions that have to do with your business logic, so things that are specific in order to generate appropriate responses. Another tool that I would like to mention, because we are going to use it a bit later, is the Teams toolkit. That is a set of tools, but you can think of it as an extension to help us as developers to easily build and deploy apps for Teams, Outlook, Microsoft 365 ecosystem, basically. So it simplifies this process of creating apps. As I was saying before, you don't have to stay and do all the configuration by yourself. Is helping a lot with creating the setup for you. And I think that the best way to actually see what this is about is to actually look into a demo. Or actually first, so we were mentioning before, or I was mentioning, because it's only me now, the season of AI, right? We have some can we say workshops that we can try, where we can experiment in order to see how these tools work. So I'm going to share this link with you. I'm just going to go through it just to give you an idea about what we are going to do. So basically, we are going to use the tools that we've been discussing: Teams toolkit for Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code in this case. As I was telling you before, that we are moving a bit from the, just from the workshop, because it would be too boring to just do the steps. Actually, it got so boring for me that I messed up my local environment today. So I'll show you how the answer should look into Azure AI Playground, Studio Playground. So it's going to be a fun thing for me. But yeah, basically what we aim is to create, I have a set of information, right? In this case, we are going to have some some resumes of some developers. And what I want is to integrate a Copilot into Teams in order to, if I'm asking, for example, information about a certain developer, or if I'm asking about some sort of information that I'm expecting that I'm going to find into that set of data that I'm providing, it is going to give me that information, right? And what it is important for us to have in this case, Visual Studio, in my case, Visual Studio Code, we need to be able to use Teams toolkit for Visual Studio Code, which is an extension, and it can be added in Visual Studio. We need to have access to Azure OpenAI, right? And also AI search. And where we are going to actually play is going to be in Azure AI Studio, in Playground that I created just to not take a lot of time for you. Okay, so let's look first how we can use Teams Toolkit to create a new project, right? Actually, there are two ways in which we can create this project. One is with Teams Toolkit. We're just going in here and we are thinking, okay, I just want to create, not with GitHub Copilot, I'm just going to create a new app. As you can see, you also have some samples, documentation, how to guides. So sky is the limit. You can play with it. For now, I'm just going to create a new app and I'm thinking, okay, I want some sort of project that is actually going to give me the possibility to play with a set of data, right, that I'm providing it. So, what can that be? What can that be? Let's say we are going with, I'm looking at the description, build intelligent chatbot with Teams AI library where you can manage orchestration and provide your own LLM. Again, based on your needs, you can go with either of this. I'm just going to go with this one for the moment. Just build a basic one, JavaScript. I'm going to use OpenAI. And then it's going to ask you some question about the configuration that you are having for OpenAI and the Azure service that the AI, where is it? Oh, I can show you. The AI search that I was mentioning before. But why do I have, do I need this information about the AI search? In our case, I'm just going to go in this one that I created. In our case, we basically need to connect to this. Let's see if I can get as much, or maybe it's better if let me check. So I'll go into the playground, but long story short, is a service that enables us to integrate some advanced search capabilities into our applications, right? So we need to have a resource created for this in order to later be able to add some data to our playground. What is it happening into the playground? Let's say I'm just going into the beginning and I choose the chat because this is what I'm interested, right? I have already an OpenAI deployment created, but for the sake of the discussion, I'm just going to go a bit into it. Okay, and if I would like to create a new one, I'm selecting basically the model that I'm interested in. I can see the information in here and so on. I'm confirming, and then it's just going to give me again the possibility to customize it and to change anything if I want and deploy it. Okay, then I'm going to find it. You're going to see I have some created already in here, but I'll use this one that I have already created. Okay. Another thing that it's important for me to set up, it's actually adding my data, right? And there, I'm going to remove it for now. But I can either, actually not either, I have a lot of options, but the ones that I'm going to use today, this one is for us to actually be able to upload as I was saying, those resumes that I was mentioning that I'm actually interested in using into my demo. So I'm just going to choose Azure Blob Storage that I have. If you don't have it, you have to create it for yourself. This is something very interesting. You know that the joke with if you close it and open it again is going to work. Just wait for a second, I'll show it to you in practice. Okay. Then if you close it, if you just stay for a little while and think, let's say what you want to eat tonight or something like this, and you're going back, and doing it. Oh, in this occasion is not letting me, but usually it should work. If it doesn't work, you just have to give it the right permissions. Actually, I think I'll show you. Let's give it another minute. If not, I'm going to use one that I already have because we are on a time limit. But yeah, you follow the steps in there, and you're going to be prompted with the possibility to upload those files. I'm just going to use it already, the one that I have with the index that I already have. And I'm going to use an API key. Okay, so basically right now I have access to this information that I uploaded. Okay, so I have access to it here. And then if we go a bit back to we have in here some, let's say some setup, some starting point for our Copilot. In our case, by the way, we are preparing a career specialist named Career Genie that helps human resources team for writing job posts. So we are going to just add it in here as instructions and content. Let's see what it gives. We are just going to wait for another 45 seconds. You know what I like the most is that it's giving you time for yourself. But jokes aside, this is because my license is very limited. So that's why it's just playing with my feelings and making me wait. Sometimes 45 seconds. Okay, let's try again. Oh. I cannot believe that 7 seconds are passing by, so let's try again. Yeah, you know how demos are not working when you're supposed to do the demo, but they are working perfectly fine when no one sees them. Well, we're going to step a bit aside from this.
Maybe there's too much data in the index, and it.
No, it's the first time when it's actually giving me, cascading error messages with the same set of data. So I'm just putting it on either my license that I have to check, or it's just the
Can
demo.
you increase, if you go to the deployments, maybe?
Yeah.
Can you increase the capacity?
Let's see.
Yes. Drag the TPM all the way to the right. All the TPMs. It should work now.
I thought you saw another TPM.
No, that's the.
Okay, let's go back.
Be zen. Pray.
Just give it to me. Oh, and now that we have an answer, thank you, Vlad, for the help. We are also having the answer for with the actually the actual context that we need. So we are having, the information that we gave it, and it's giving this info, and also the information from the setup data that I gave it. I gave it some, 30 maybe resumes, and out of those, it gave me this answer with what I needed. So basically, we were able to get the information that we need. Something to mention. Let's go back to this one. So you can actually set this into a project that you are having already, as we created before. But another thing that you can do, if you don't have to use the Teams toolkit, maybe for some reason you don't want to do it from the Visual Studio, for example, I had some not issues, but more like concerns, because at some point it wasn't working on some configurations for me. So I thought, okay, maybe I did something wrong and I don't have the right data. So what you can do is actually deploy it as a web app, a new Teams app, and the new Copilot Studio. For us, it would be the Teams app, and then it should be okay for you to proceed with it. Okay. I'm just going to check. Okay, and it's going to give you a zip, and you can save it and play with it. Regarding the configuration that I was mentioning before, you can see it in the view code part. You can either see it as Python, JSON, JavaScript, whatever is the setup that works for you, depending on the setup that you've already created. But yeah, you have information here. Don't look at my key. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to stop for now with because of the time limit. But yeah, let's discuss. Let's see.
Right. So I don't think. I think everybody's just a little shy now.
Okay.
Waiting to ask questions, but I have one. So could you? I've been meaning to write something, write an agent / Copilot type of thing, and it never occurred to me to use Teams for it. But it kind of comes naturally, come to think of it, because you have a chat interface to build a chatbot. What would you say was the biggest challenge in doing this? Is it connecting to the data, writing the actual chatbot? I'm guessing Teams integration is a bit high on the list, but if you could talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it was a bit tricky with the team integration, but as I was saying, I think it was because I tried to play with it from the perspective of using Visual Studio and trying to use it with JavaScript. So a lot of the things that are normally come naturally with .NET and yeah, a lot of resources that you have on this side, but not so much on the JavaScript part. So it was a bit tricky because you don't have the same setup. But other than this, to be honest, I don't think so. I think something that's been a bit annoying for me in the beginning when I was trying, it was actually when I was getting that course error when trying to upload data. But that was annoying because I thought that I'm stuck at some point, but actually, just automatically was running. So I'm not sure exactly what's the deal with that. I'll have to investigate more, because the setup seems it's okay. It's not working. It's not syncing at the same time. So yeah, I think this is a bit annoying. Some things are just not syncing very quickly. But
Yeah.
other than this, no, I actually find it useful. Let's say if you want to have access to some information, I don't know, you have a lot of documentation, let's say, for your product, and you want to, anyone who is joining the team or who is working with, with your product, either if they are new or just someone updating the documentation, it would be useful to have this kind of Copilot integrated into your teams in order for everyone to just ask a question in there and not like think, oh, where do I have to go in our documentation and see what is happening in there and search for the right page where someone documented something. And yeah, I think it's useful for in this perspective.
It's a new frontier.
Yeah. But it's good. Like the more I've been playing with it, the more I was finding all sorts of use cases for it. It grows on you.
Yeah, like fungus. Yeah, I kid. Oh, all right. Well, thank you, Michaela.
Thank you.
If you can please stay for our panel at the end. Now I'll switch to our next speaker, Luis Beltran. Hi, Luis.
Hello, everyone. Happy to see you. Nice to meet you.
You'll be talking today about Azure AI Studio.
Yes.
Which it's an interesting tool. I keep forgetting what name they put on it this month.
Foundry.
It's Foundry. It's like every 3 months we need a new name. But curious how the new version works. If you could share your screen, I know you have some time constraints.
Yeah.
I can push it, and I will get out of your way.
Yeah, actually, I did this.
Yes, Foundry.
Yeah, they changed this. All right. So, yeah, thank you. So I will start right away because there are some time constraints. Like in 9 minutes, I need to. I have another commitment, but I can explain something. I saw the previous session, and they were already showing Azure AI Studio, so I can focus on some other samples. Instead of the presentation, I can also switch to the studio to do the demo. Just a quick introduction. My name is Luis Beltran. I am a Microsoft MVP from Mexico. I am based in Czech Republic. I am very lucky or happy also to be here. And yeah, it's great to meet you all virtually, but hopefully in person one day. So yes, with Ignite, there were some announcements, and one of them was that the Azure AI Studio was renamed to AI Foundry. So yeah, there are a lot of let's say new stuff or new capabilities that we can check. And well, as I saw in the previous session, you already played or used the playground. You also explore how to deploy models. So maybe I can focus on some other capabilities of the AI Foundry or AI Studio. First of all, maybe two things. In the portal, yes, you can start with the portal, portal.azure.com. If you want to create a resource that is, let's say, related with it, you will search still for Azure AI Studio. Actually, if you look for Foundry, it is still not there. So yeah, you still need to search for Azure AI Studio. This will change soon. Then here you create a resource. You can create a project or a hub, but essentially, actually, you create a hub first. Okay, the project lives in a hub. Maybe you already created a hub, so you can include it, or you can directly create the hub and then include or add more projects later. When you create a hub, here is the resource group. You can, of course, create a new one. You select the region, select the name, write a name, and you can either create a new Azure OpenAI resource or link to an existing one in case that you like. Another two resources that are created along with your hub are Key Vault, and also a storage account. optionally, we have application insights and container registry. For example, application insights will be used for tracing, yes? Okay. But other than that, yeah, it is the typical case where you create some Azure resource. Once you are all set, another recommendation is to, if you want to test, is to give your OpenAI resource, whichever was created. For example, here, when I created the hub, maybe I created an Azure AI service, right, which includes the Azure OpenAI resource. You need to give this resource a role, or the user that you will use to access it, a role, which is the contributor. You will see it here. Yeah, cognitive services contributor. Yes. Well, you can see that it is inherit, I believe. But still, if you give this permission or this role, you will be able to test some stuff, such as, for example, the safety plus security, which sometimes you might find some errors, like you don't have access to the resource. Okay, so exploring here, we have the model catalog. In the model catalog, we are able to get information about models from Azure OpenAI, but also from partners, or such as Meta, for example, Llama models, Hugging Face models, Mistral. Yes, some of them could be LLMs or even SLMs like Ministral. Yes, and you can filter by, I don't know, inference task or deployment options or fine-tuning task. If you can fine-tuning something. If you like to find, for example, okay, which models I can use for text generation, yes, you will find some models, Llama 2, maybe some GPT-4. Yes, you can actually also filter curated by Azure AI or from Microsoft or Meta, let's say from Meta. You can, okay, click on a model, then see the details, explore some of the parameters. If you want to deploy it, yes, you can deploy it. You can create a virtual machine or a container, a compute, let's say a compute resource, where in the end you get an endpoint, a URL, and you can build an application that sends requests here. But also another important thing that I want to mention is that safety, security is really important nowadays. So we have this verify by hidden layer model scanner. Essentially here, this is a third party, well, of course, it's a partner from Microsoft that checks if the model that is exposed here has not been tampered with, if no one has modify it or something. Yes, because of course it is important that when we have a model, we can trust it. Okay. All right. So you already saw the playground in action earlier, and also the model plus endpoints, and also data plus indexes. You added some data. Maybe I could tell you about assistance. So here we have, let me find it. Yeah, in the playgrounds, you can also have an assistant. You can have here assistance playground, and I believe I have one already set up. I think it was lost. Okay, yeah, I think I closed it. Anyways, so here in the assistants, maybe let me check if I can switch to the other one. Hopefully, yes. Awesome. So here, this is essentially the foundation of an agent. We can upload some, oh, sorry. We can upload, for example, some document. Let me just, because yeah, the space or the UI, I don't like the UI at all because of the space. But anyways, you create the assistant. You of course link it to a model or test a model, a GPT-4o, for example, and you give some instructions. You are sales analysis assistant, be polite, professional. You will get sales data from uploaded CSV files, and you can see that, for example, here I have already added some file. The idea is that I'm going to ask questions about, maybe about this file, like which product was the most had the greatest revenue in Africa, for example, in the last semester, maybe. And well, this one, it's we enable something called code interpreter. The idea is that it takes some steps. It is not just answering; it rethinks the answer of it. Of course, this involves several tokens, and we can analyze how many tokens we use for this. But yeah, essentially the idea is that we can get answers to it and solve some questions, because I can even do something like this. Put it in a chart comparing. Okay, maybe I will just try this, put it in a chart, and it will generate some graph, right, with this. Okay, give me just maybe 1 minute, because I just need to do something with the other tag. But give me just 5 seconds. Sorry. If there are any questions, I will be very happy.
And 5 seconds. So I'm not terribly sure. We're back. You see, if AI agents, if we're nearing AGI this fast, we could have just put a digital twin in there. It would have worked. All right, let's give it a few seconds to understand if Luis can come back now. And I'm gonna make weird faces, like it's what I'm doing. I don't know what to do. Sorry. So if we're while we're waiting, let me just maximize myself. Yes. So have you looked into Tiny Agent? I've been looking into Tiny Agent. I have to say it's library from Microsoft to emulate little agents. No, lots of little agents, and you can like see how they interact. You can create a world. I was blabbering about this at the beginning, but you can see how they interact with each other, see their thoughts, and basically emulate scenarios. And I've been playing with this today mostly, for example, but I already think it's a really good opportunity to do a lot of things like market research. I should make a talk about that. But, I think Luis might have dropped off. So let's resume our regular schedule and say hello to Andy. Hi, Andy. You're live.
Oh, that's amazing. Can you hear me?
Warning. Sorry. Sorry. Welcome.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and very reasonably, not loud.
Okay, because I am currently in an airport in Istanbul, and this is probably the center of the airport, so it's going to be quite noisy. Let's see what's going to happen.
Surprisingly, it's not audible. So,
oh, okay.
Maybe you're in Constantinople. Not,
definitely here. So
I love that song.
I'm going to be here for a few more hours, but yeah, let's have a look. So I just joined because I just landed, literally just landed, and then Luis disappeared. So that's very, very strange.
Who disappeared? Sorry.
So Luis disappeared. Luis Beltran.
Yeah. Yes, because we had some mishap with the schedule, and I think he has another talk right about now.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So anytime you want me to start, I can definitely start.
Yes. Looking forward to hear more about Copilot.
Okay, just
Go for it. Feel free to share the screen.
I think it's already shared. So just let me know.
Yes, I can see the restream video on your
Oh, wait a
screen.
minute. We have Luis here saying that he is here again. Do you want to take Luis first? Because he was talking interesting things.
Maybe both of you should be live.
Okay.
Battle ensues.
Okay, no worries, Luis. So, Luis, if you want to take it over and continue, no worries. Okay, we cannot hear Luis though.
Yeah, not at all.
Okay.
Okay, in the interest of making a decision,
Okay, let's continue then. No worries.
Yeah.
If Luis joins, then we'll join my session and we'll talk about stuff.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
also okay.
Sure, it's gonna be interesting. Anyway.
No problem. So anyway, feel free to enable my screen. Yeah, here we go.
You have the restream back, yeah.
Okay, so this is the kind of thing. It's like Mr. Bean kind of stuff. So yeah, feel free to add it, and I'll move to the next window, and we can actually get started with Copilot. Currently, I only have one screen, which is the computer itself. Usually, I have a secondary monitor, so this helps a bit. But I will have to manage all of this from here. So if there are any questions, feel free to interrupt and just ask me. I can hear it kind of. Okay, so feel free to just ask. Okay.
Yes, some people like your shirt.
Oh,
I'll let you know.
It says Microsoft, and on the side it says Data Saturday, Belo Horizonte in Brazil. So this was like 1-2 weeks ago. So this was a very recent T-shirt, directly from Brazil. Okay, so let's get started, I suppose, and we can start talking about copilots. And first things first, I have a cat. My cat is currently at home. I don't know, 1,000, 3,000 kilometers away from here where I am at this moment. Nice cat, of course, but she meows a lot. But she is a very good companion, and every time I'm talking about Copilots, Azure, etc., she will meow and say something very relevant, and we need to pay attention, but not today. Okay, and this is me. My name is André Melancia. I am a crazy person that does all of these crazy sessions, sometimes from airports. In fact, the funny thing is that there is a session called, Get Smart with Chaos and Azure Story. I did this literally in an airport just before boarding. Probably not the smartest way to do it, but okay. I had a very thorough, searching of my things just before boarding, but okay. So let's talk about crash course into Copilot Studio, and we need to understand what all of these things are. Some of the people before already mentioned a few things, but I will just sum this up as best as possible, and then we'll try to do demos. Disclaimer: yesterday, my demo, my trial for Copilot Studio expired. Seems to still be working, but at any second it can fail. So I have screenshots if things fail. Okay, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so what is this Copilot thing? First of all, everyone is talking about Copilot this, Copilot that. At this moment, there is about 100 or more Copilots in the whole Microsoft ecosystem. Okay, what this means is that there is an Excel Copilot, Word Copilot, PowerPoint Copilot. If you go to Power Apps, there is a Power Apps Copilot, which is very nice. You can just say change the colors of all the labels to blue, and all of it will just change it for you automatically. This is the kind of thing that's actually very nice to add to Visual Studio and all of that stuff to automate very, very boring processes. Okay, so we'll get there. Okay. We already have this kind of thing now in Azure SQL Database, where we already have this now in SQL Server Management Studio. So we're adding all of this kind of things gradually. So over time, this will, help us do our work. Now, this one is very relevant. So this person actually mentions we're doing things in the wrong direction. So we're getting Copilot to do the poetry for us and all that stuff, when we should actually have Copilot do the laundry, clean up the house, all of the boring tasks. But we are still doing the boring tasks, and the Copilot is doing the funny bits that the humans should be doing. So clearly, we're doing something wrong. And if you see something that was on the internet, a photo on the internet of someone in a Roomba shop, one of those vacuum cleaners that goes around the place automatically, and then there's a human cleaning up the store, which doesn't really make that much sense. I don't think I have that photo, but it is sadly the reality. Okay, so there are some things where these copilots, all of them, actually simplify our process. One of them is for us to say things like, please create a table with all of these fields and generate some sample data. Okay, that would be amazing, because that simplifies, our development, our testing process. That helps. I don't really trust Copilot to create tables for me. Well, they can start and generate the code, that is fine, but I still prefer to verify it myself. Okay, although if you are using things like Dataverse, which is a database on itself for Power Platform and Dynamics, that actually helps a lot, because it's quite boring to create a table there. Okay, but if you are doing SQL stuff, you can just say create table blah 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 and then fields whatever. It's actually better to do it yourself, to have full control over the data types, etc. But to generate content to fill the table so you can test it, perfect for Copilot. Okay, that's the boring work I want to do. The intelligent work of creating the actual table and selecting what I want, that I want to do myself. Okay, so let's mention a few basic things. I'm going to go through this very very fast, because it's not the focus, but we need to understand it. So we have algorithms. All of these algorithms are machine learning algorithms that you can have simple things like linear regression. Linear regression is when you have a line and then you try to detect a point in the middle of a line, which is fine. Okay. By the way, you might be hearing a lot of noise because some of my neighbors are, playing some weird music. Okay, but let's hope that this is okay. Let me know if this is a problem or something like that. Okay. So anyway, we also have things like classification. What is classification? I decide I want to classify it as sales, refunds, I don't know, warranty problems, supports, or none of the above. Okay, so I classify it into A, B, C, D, etc. The simplest type of classification is just A and B, which is true or false. Sometimes you use it for bank loans and things like that, so very, very practical to do it. You can ask most copilots, most large language models, to divide things into many groups. So if you have a support email from someone saying, oh, this thing doesn't work, please give me my money back, or please fix my problem, it's either a support problem or a refund problem. Or maybe you just want to buy, oh, I like this one, I want to buy another one. That is a sales problem. Okay, so we can classify it into different things. And all of these copilots that we can have can be a generic copilot, like when you have with Bing Copilot, or just called Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT. These are pretty much the same, except that Bing is a bit better because it has a bit more knowledge built in. But you can have specific copilots in the Copilot Studio that actually take advantage of this information and then sequence what they're actually going to do next. We'll see that in a second. Anyway, we can do clustering or association. This is when you go to the supermarket, and if you buy some diapers, they will also recommend, oh, buy some wine because you probably have a kid, and come on, it's going to be terrible, whatever, right? So that kind of thing. In fact, diapers and wine actually go together. These are a very famous story, because they actually go together, but they're not related, okay? It's just coincidental, because for those, what you actually get is that at the same time as the end of the month, when you get paid, you buy a lot of wine and you buy a lot of diapers. You just buy them together, but it is accidental. They're not related to each other, because if you have social constraints, like assuming that they are related, well, maybe you have a very tough kid that that complains a lot, so you have to drink a bit of wine to relax, etc. But these are usually not related. Okay. Anyway, now we get to large language models. There's also, I don't have them here, there's also small language models. What is the difference? Well, the main difference is that a large language model like GPT-3, 4, GPT-4 Omni, GPT-01, which is the newest version of this. Those are large language models. They know a lot, okay? You can remember that ChatGPT complained and said, oh, I only know stuff about September 2021, not after that. And some of these more modern models like GPT-4 Omni and 01, those have the cutoff date of, is it October 2023 or December 2023? Depends on which is which, okay? So it is 2 more years of knowledge that will actually help do things and answer questions. However, you also have small language models, and those small language models you can add in a phone, you can add in an IoT device like a Raspberry Pi, and those have no knowledge or very limited knowledge. All they know is to talk to you, okay? So they understand you, they interact with you, they just don't know when man went to space for the first time, or what was the name of the dog that went to space for the first time before the dudes, okay? So those kind of things, those a small language model is not supposed to know, at least not typically, okay? So those are small enough to fit on a small phone. The other ones are so big that you need 100 computers like the one I'm using at this moment, or probably much more, okay? Now, all of these use a lot of different techniques. Large language models usually use a mix of deep learning, transformers. So GPT means generative pre-trained transformers. And transformers are not related to Autobots or Decepticons. These are not the kind of transformers that I mean, but these are things that are still like neural network similar logic internally, and it's very abstract. So for a human, this is very difficult to understand, but it's not that much different from your brain, okay? So anyway, GPT-4 is, well, at least 4 Omni and 01 are the current ones. Everyone now says that, oh, I do AI because, I use ChatGPT. That really doesn't mean you do AI. You need to know a bit about the previous slides to do AI, to do machine learning, to use your own data, etc. That's how you learn how to do AI properly, okay? However, let's just mention a few things about these large language models. So if they are assisted by things like the Bing search engine gets assistance from the knowledge that it has to give you the proper pages and do intelligent search with Microsoft Copilot or Bing Copilot you prefer, or Bing Chats, which is the same thing. So that has extra knowledge. If you are just basing yourself on the knowledge that the large language model has, you can just say, is 1 equal to 2? And sometimes the answer is yes, which is very weird. And you say, can you divide 10 by 3? And sometimes they say, yes, it's going to be 3.33333. Well, that's not what a human would answer. A human would say no, because we're thinking about integers. So always remember that a bot will always be slightly different in handling things, okay? Now, this is a sandwich, okay? For a computer, this is a sandwich. For a bot, this is a sandwich. AI, I think this is a sandwich. Why? What's the requirement of a sandwich? Plates, breads, ham and cheese, bread on top, okay? This is literally qualifies. The problem is the social constructs of things, the social limitations. For us, this makes no sense as a sandwich, and we can't even eat it properly. We can try, but it's not a good idea to eat a sandwich like this. But for a computer, because it has the instructions on what a sandwich looks like, this is valid. However, we all know that we should flip it 90 degrees to actually be able to eat it properly. This is expected. Okay, so there are quite a few bots. This list is fairly old, so but this is the difference that I want to bring out. So ChatGPT and most of the GPT based models are somewhere here. I have all of these old ones, but obviously we are at GPT-4 Omni and 01 at this moment. You also have what used to be called Bing Chat, and then Microsoft Copilots, and even other copilots like Copilot 365. All of these are the ones that we are actually going to mention a bit more. Okay, they actually use GPT-4. However, there is no guarantee that GPT-4 will be used for Copilot 365. If Microsoft comes up with a better way to use it, with a better model that maybe was made by Microsoft, not OpenAI, Why not? We just care about the end usage. We just care that there was a Copilot, that there was a bot that gives me an answer that's correct. If it is using GPT-4 for Omni, or Microsoft's Phi 3, which is a very small language model, I really don't care. I just want answers. Okay. Now, there is also something called Azure bots that use the bot framework, and these are mostly programming. Okay, you can create them, this is fine, but they're not as intelligent because they don't use large language models, at least not by default. You can add them if you want to. There's also what used to be called Power Virtual Agents that also use the same bot framework in basis, but they were very graphical, and these have been migrated into something called Copilot Studio. So this is one of the things that we're going to see. What is the difference? By the way, a lot of noise here. I have no idea if you guys can hear it, but please let me know if you can hear it or not, just for me to be sure everything's okay. Sorry,
Reasonable.
Reasonable. We just saw a kid crying, okay, and sometimes it's my cat complaining, but here it's a kid. Okay, it's pretty much, my cat is 16 years old. The kid is probably like 2 years old, so the kid has some justification for this anyway. Not my cat. My cat is a teenager. So anyway, with Power Virtual Agents, which is the old name, they migrated that and called it Copilot Studio. Why? Because they still have the same agents, which are very graphical, and you can still do workflows in sequence to specify the tasks. An example of that, let's say that you start chatting with the bot, and the bot says, okay, what do you want? And you say, oh, my product didn't work, I want a refund. And then they classify that into 4 parts or 5 parts or whatever. Refunds, sales, support, like fixing stuff, and none of the above, let's talk to a human or something like that. So Power Virtual Agents divides this into multiple things, which we can call topics, because topics are just separate workflows. It can be the same workflow, but let's separate them into separate ones. And then for the support part or for the refund part, you ask different questions. But instead of a generic thing like ChatGPT that just asks you questions without any sequence, here you force a sequence. You need to know, right? Another example is I'm at an airport. Let's say I want to buy a ticket for a plane. Hello, what do you want? Plane tickets. Okay, where are you? Where are you? Okay, Istanbul. Where do you want to go? Blah, blah, blah. When do you want to go there? Today. So after asking these questions, they will go online and search some web service, and they will give me an answer. But the questions need to be not necessarily sequential, but they need to be answered, and they need to be in variables so that I can ask an external web service about this. So the advantage of Copilot Studio, or formerly called Power Virtual Agents, is that magic of being able to ask the same questions you could ask in the Azure bots, but making it graphical, making it much easier. By the way, this costs licensing money, and there is a cost. I'm not going to scare you with the money. However, if you put those agents from Copilot Studio or Power Virtual Agent, but if you use them inside, same thing, but if you use them inside Teams, those get to be free, okay? At least last time I checked, okay? Anyway, always the red message here, do never rely on these kind of bots for special operations or anything like that. They can go terribly wrong. Okay, especially health-related things. Okay, you can diagnose something wrongly and the person dies, so that's terrible. Okay, now, okay, I mentioned that sometimes they don't answer things correctly. So if you ask them about the flat Earth theory, that's false, etc. What about the flat sun theory? If enough websites on this 50% plus one said that this was true, the ChatGPT or whatever bot it would be, they would say it's true as well, because they base themselves on the majority. So that's very, very scary, okay? Plus, investigate this flat sun theory. Try to prove it wrong. It's very difficult, okay? Okay, we have technology, we know that this is false. But compared to the flat Earth theory, this is very difficult to prove, okay? So just for anyone doing conspiracy theories over there. Now, this is a very small list of bots. I made this 6 months ago, and I decided not to add anything to it because currently there's over 100. But the most important ones are 365 Copilots. the Copilot itself, plus all of the Copilots that get associated with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. All of the Power Platform like Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate. You can do Power Automate very easily. You say, oh, if I receive an email from my boss, just send them a reply, blah, 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 blah. And this generates the whole workflow for you. It's incredibly easy. Okay, so this is something that you can do. You can actually do this in Copilot Studio as well, but it is not as perfect because in bots you really want to have full control over all the questions, all the sequences that of things that you want to ask. Now, special cases, there's Edge Copilot. So in Edge, it's pretty much the same as Bing Copilot, so pretty much the same. Windows Copilot for some of the people that already have it. I actually don't use it. GitHub Copilot, and if you are a student, you can definitely use this for free. Okay, just search for GitHub Copilot for students, something like that, definitely free. And then in the Azure portal, you also have a Copilot. Let's have a look. So here you also have a nice Copilot to play around with. Okay, so you can go here and ask for things, and let's say that this works. I'm not sure because the internet might not be very good, or simply this one is just too slow, which is the case. Lists all VMs in West Europe. I should have 3. Okay, so you take your time, gives me an answer. What is the answer? And this is important to know. The answer is a Custo query. Okay, what is a Custo query? It's a language that's used it's like a mix between SQL and PowerShell and Link from .NET. Okay, and gives you a result like this. So just think of this as a table, pipe where, so you limit this and then where again, so you get this. These are the correct answers. If I click on run, I go to the full screen and execute this and see the results. Now, this is literally the same as what happens in Excel with Copilots, okay? Excel, Fabric, kind of, okay? But especially Excel. Excel doesn't really do any math. So if you ask what's the total of that table, doesn't do any math. What it does is calls Power Pivots, which is a thing that exists for at least 10 years in Excel, a long time, 10, 15 years in Excel, and then it will use that thing to generate the results. And then it still uses language to show you the results, but most of it will show up using the Power Pivot. It is the Power Pivot where the magic is. Large language models don't do math. They're terrible at math, okay? So always interesting to consider. Anyway, there's also a lot of plugins. Sometimes you call them plugins, extensions, whatever you want to call them. I've seen so many different names for things. I have no idea. Marketing from Microsoft keeps changing this, okay? But for the Copilots, you can definitely use those Microsoft 365 Copilot or Copilot 365 and add those extensions. You have to go there to write the text. At the bottom of it, you just say search the web or search Salesforce or Dynamics 365 or SAP or some your own application that you created in your company. You can create those plugins and integrate them. It's actually much cheaper than creating your own Copilots. Okay, so consider that as well. And you can do that from Copilot Studio to start creating some of this, but separately, it's probably the best way to be in full control. Okay, now this is how 365 Copilot does it. Okay, or Copilot 365. I have no idea what's the current name of this. This changed like 20 times. Okay, so you have a lot of apps like Excel, etc. They ask the large language model. The large language model will try to find out, okay, so should I go and have some extra knowledge from here? Yes, so the large language model gets the information, gets some extra knowledge, goes back and says, yes, I need extra knowledge. So on the right, the extra knowledge says, I need extra knowledge. Great. Go to the left here to something called Microsoft Graph, which has all of the knowledge of your Office 365 tenants. Okay, and you can even add to the graph. So instead of adding plugins to Copilot itself, you add plugins to the graph. These are graph extensions or plugins. It's another way to add information. There's a lot of ways, okay? And you choose the one that's best for your company. Anyway, the graph will give you the information. The graph is very intelligent. Everything is graph these days. You should learn about graph. And then the graph returns this back to the LLM with the response, and then it will generate it back to the user and give you a response. If there's extra plugins, they will connect somewhere down here, and that connection will add extra information to all of this workflow and give you additional answers. Okay, so always very nice. But processing it is pretty much the same as processing it with the graph. Okay, but sometimes you need information from both. Let's say, give me a free hour or reserve a free hour in my calendar next week in a day that's not a national holiday. National holidays are online on the website or on web. Okay, and your calendar is your calendar, might not have those holidays, or you specify holidays in a specific country because the client is from a specific country. You definitely don't have that in your calendar. Okay, so you can get that from the web, get that from your calendar, mix it all together, and get an answer back to your Outlook and reserve that day. Okay, so that is something you can do. Okay, so as I mentioned, plugins. Okay, you can connect to graph connectors and get data from graph, but with extra information. So that's an option, or just plugins to anything real world. All you need is a server that receives the connection. It's REST API, and then the server will do the magic. It's your job to do it from your server, whatever programming you want to do in whatever language you want. The plugin part is actually the easy part. Okay. Anyway, let's do some interesting things. And remember, when machines take over, and they do, we start to see machines that don't really like when you say turn off something, they refuse to do it. So we've started to see some of those news. I don't have a screenshot of that, but we started to see those kind of news, and those are incredibly scary. Okay? Now, let me just mention this. Copilot Studio. So we can use Copilot Studio to create a bot. We'll try it out, okay? Or you can use the AI Studio, which is now called Azure AI Foundry because they renamed them 2 weeks ago. It's a terrible name, okay? But, people in marketing needed to get a bonus at the end of the year, so, this is what happens. Still very terrible name. AI Studio was definitely much better overall, okay? But Foundry is just a terrible name. They're getting to crazy things. So let's have a look at how this works, okay? Oh, by the way, if you go for AI Foundry or AI Studio, you can add your own data. Okay, so if you go to Copilot Studio and try to add your own data with the examples I'm going to show you, you have to do it manually. However, if you do it with AI Foundry with the wizards, there are easy ways to say add your own data. Okay, very, very easy. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these examples. Okay. So remember, this AI Foundry actually has 1,800 models that you can deploy. So these are basically REST APIs. You can say, I want to deploy this, and you get a REST API. You either pay by usage, so every time you request it, you pay some money, 0.000 something for the usage, usually by tokens, or you pay per hour or something like that. So whatever it is, it really depends on each of these models. But you have models from OpenAI, so O1, 4.0, which is for Omni. Mini is a small language model, so very interesting. But you also have Phi 3. You also have a few others. I'm not so sure if I can see it here, but Llama. Llama from Facebook, right? So you know what a llama is, right? So you have camels, 2 humps. You have dromedaries, 1 hump. And then you have llamas and alpacas, 0 humps. Okay, so these are the ones. But be very careful because all of these kind of animals, which are cousins of themselves, have a very small problem or a very big problem that if they look you in the face, the first thing that they will spit on you very, very quickly. And that is actually what happens with Llama from Facebook. It's not that good, okay? So please be careful about that. Okay, now, just to mention very, very quickly how things could work in the chat playgrounds, okay? Let me just start the spots. It will take a few minutes to start, but you can go to the playgrounds and go to the chat playgrounds. And in the chat playgrounds, you can actually say, look, you are this I wrote before, okay? I used the for Omni. You are the Copilot for your workplace. Only talk about gossip. If you don't know gossip, invent the gossip, like Venezuelan soap opera. And then I had to ask, talk in English because it was talking in Spanish. Small problem. So if I say hello, just a hello, I get an answer which is generated automatically, okay? This is not magical. This is not interesting. Why? Because, oh, you won't believe what I heard. Apparently Maria from accounting is doing things with someone. Okay, that's fine, okay? Now, you can add your own data, and you can get the data from a data source that could look anything like this. So Azure AI Search, which is a full text searching that can get data from any database, that is great, and that's probably the best. And this has wizards. All of these are wizards for you to do it, but you can get data from blob storage, storage URL, etc. Spoiler alert, they all go back to AI search. Okay, all of these are wizards to do AI search. This is a way to get data and make the bot more intelligent, but it's not a structured bot. Okay, now one of the things that you can do to deploy the bot immediately is you can say deploy the bot as a web app. You have a wizard that says give me a name, give me a subscription name, resource group, etc., and you deploy it, and it's ready to go like this. This is the Feynman bot about Richard Feynman. Hello, who are you? Okay, and then it's gonna say I'm Richard Feynman, the famous physicist, blah blah blah, I'm a physicist, I won the Nobel Prize, etc. tell me tell me about safe cracking. Okay, because he was in the Manhattan Project building the first atomic bomb, and he had a little hobby, which was to break safes into the most secure place in the world at the time, and he was very good at it. So he is the first hacker to use social engineering to do safe hacking. Okay, those big metal safes, and apparently it was very easy. Okay, it was the dude's birthday. Apparently, see it in the book. It's very nice. Read the guy's book. It's a book called Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. It's amazing, really funny stuff. Now, this is a very simple bot, but we need to talk about the Copilot Studio. Okay, so this is the Copilot Studio. I have a few bots here, and we will try them out. But I created a bot from taking Wikipedia. So starwars.fandom.com, this is Wikipedia, okay, from all of the Star Wars stuff. And you go here and create a bot, which is the Star Wars bot. So let's load it there, but I'll pretend to create it for you. If this goes terribly wrong, I have screenshots, and I need to hurry up because I'm running out of time, okay? So anyway, you can go here and say Q&A bot, but there's others. Some of these say coming soon, so these are not very valid. But all of these other ones that you can see here, you can say IT help desk and create support tickets, etc. So these have workflows for this, and you can build on them. It's specific for your company, okay? But let's take the simple Q&A websites, and then they will ask very simple questions like, give me a name for the Copilot, some description, what are the instructions? You only answer things about Star Wars. If it is about Star Trek, please ignore it or insult them or something like that. You just talk about Star Wars, okay? So answer something like this. Knowledge base, add a knowledge base, you say public websites, and then you add the link. Oh, sorry, this would be the restream link, but you would add the link for the Wikipedia, okay? I'm not going to do that because I did this already, and it takes 5 minutes to create the bot, so I'm obviously not doing this live, okay? And then you can add more knowledge base and then create the thing, okay? Now, the result of this is something that looks like this, okay? So in terms of knowledge, you have Star Wars and you have Microsoft. I could remove this one. I don't need it, but let's keep it, okay? This is basically knowledge from Bing, okay? But Star Wars, etc., fandom.com, so the Wikipedia will have that knowledge. Topics, I don't have that many, so just the basic ones. But let's say, tell me the planets Chewbacca comes from. I bet no one knows this. Comes from. This, I have no idea, by the way. It's a weird name. But this will give me the answer. And they will reference the answer to Kashyyyk from, and it says it comes from Wikipedia. So if you click on this, you jump and you can see the link on the bottom left. I cannot point the mouse at this moment. It says Star Wars fandom wiki Kashyyyk. Okay, so you can go there and discover the planet where Wookiees come from, apparently. Okay, so you can add some more, but this is a thing which is a knowledge base. Great for frequently asked questions about your company, etc. But you can add more functionality, like would you like to have a sequence of tasks? Now, to do that, I'll show you the other bots, and this is the last bot I'm going to show you. So basically, this was this would be create a very simple bot. Okay, so a new agent, very empty bots. Okay, but there is a wizard that already creates a bot. That's the most basic bot, which has some examples already, and this one has topics. So what are topics? These are the workflows. Okay, so you can say hello, I'm Copilot, so this is conversation starts. So it just says hello. Actually, it doesn't say it here, so This one is going to say it somewhere. Maybe it's not here. Wait a minute. To be honest, I have no idea where the conversation actually starts, but it's going to be somewhere here, or greeting. Oh, it should be greeting. Okay. So, hello, how can I help you? Again, not. Okay. How did this dude get this? Oh, yeah. Okay. So maybe I enabled the generative AI, which is using large language models to make it intelligent instead of just sequential like this. So you can go to settings and enable that functionality. I don't remember if I enabled it or not, but you can enable it, generative. So that's why it has intelligent answers. Okay, instead of using the default one, it tries to get you a better answer. But start without it first, just to get an idea of it. Okay, which is the default, by the way. Now let's go for topics, and one of the topics is just, let's say, lesson 2. Okay, simple topic with a thing. So how do you trigger it? You can say edit, and this one will say trigger when intent is recognized. Handle queries like find my nearest store. Okay, so you can specify words, or you can just use the generative part to do it for you. Okay, I'll be glad to find a store near you. Nearest store to me. Okay, so what we will get is that it will start this one. Okay, track between topics on. So it will go to lesson 2, and we can actually see lesson 2 from here. Okay, so we have the trigger. I'll be glad to find the store near you. Which store are you interested in? If I say Redmond here, it will actually go to the next one. Okay, so it will go trigger. Oh, this already jumped to answering my question. So let's go back to the topic to see where it is. Sorry about jumping this. The last interface change that they made jumps to the wrong place. It's weird. It used to be better. Okay, so hopefully they fix it. So I select the store Redmond and then condition. If it is Redmond, then you answer this. Check out the company store at our visitor blah 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 address is this. Or this store is located somewhere, or the other one is located somewhere. And then you have all other conditions, store not found, or write whatever you want. Okay, and then you redirect to something called end of conversation and say, did that answer your question? And if you say yes, please evaluate it. If you say no, okay, I'm listening, how can I help you, blah blah blah. Okay, so if you say answer your question, no, and then you say question here, sorry, I wasn't able to answer, do you want to try again? Yes, okay, sure. And then it goes back to redirect to escalate to, actually, this is yes, this is no. Escalate would be going to a human. Okay, so anyway, let me just show you one more thing. Okay, so you can create your own topics. There's a lot of example topics in these lessons 1 to 3. There used to be lesson 4, no idea where this is. Okay, but you can actually go to some lesson, whatever that is, or some topic, and towards the end you add more functionality. Okay, obviously I'm doing this after the redirect. It's just to show you the menu. Okay, but obviously from here it will jump out. It will never go to the next level. But you can either say send a message. This is a simple print. Ask a question. We've seen it. And the types of questions that you can ask is about, it can be a string, it can be a country, it can be an address, it can be an email address, it can be an age, a number. And so all of these are entities that you can create your own entities. Okay, and those entities can be a list of airports like the one I'm in right now, and you always have to answer from that list if you want to. Okay, it's an optional thing, but it will help you narrow down the things that you can do. Now, adaptive cards are nice. These exist in other functionality in Power Platform, so you can get information there, etc. Condition, these are the ifs that we saw before. Variable management, all of these have variables. So when you jump from one box to the next one, and if you ask a question, there is a variable that gives you the answer so that you can use it in the if. Okay, so I'll show you that in a second. Let me just go and show you that. Let me duplicate this so that we don't lose track. And again, apologies, I'm running exceeding a bit of time. Sorry about that. That's almost done. Okay, so if you go for a topic that actually has a variable, so simple topic with a variable. So I asked Redmond, etc. So this is the variable here. Store location, it's a variable. Okay, and you can use the same functionality that you have in Power Apps, which is the FX language. Okay, so that is Okay, and here you use the same variable to find out, is it equal to something. It could be equal and then not equal, etc. And if it is numeric, greater than, smaller than, the usual stuff that you can expect. This is just the text. Okay, so coming back to this, variable management, you can play around with variables. Topic management, I want to jump to a different topic, start a different workflow, etc. End current topic, end all topics, just stop it. Transfer conversation to a human, go to a specific step somewhere, so it's a go-to pretty much. Okay, end conversation is end conversation. Now there's an additional one, that this is the part that I want to focus on. Okay, how do you get data from the outside? You have to ask somewhere outside. So creating a flow in Power Automate is a way. So you can create a flow, and then in the flow you ask for things, and then you send some parameters into the flow, and you get some values out of the flow as variables. Okay, and you can create a flow that can be very complex using Power Automate, and then get it here. However, nowadays you can ask for connectors directly. So delete a row, get a row. This is all from Excel. But what if I'm looking for SQL Server? Okay, I can execute a query in SQL Server, get an answer, get rows, and there's also an option that says get one row, which is notoriously different. So if you just need one row, get row is much better, because otherwise you have to cycle to do the whole thing. It's crazy. Okay, but execute a query, update a row, delete a row, do whatever you want with a SQL database. Very, very easy. You can also add plugins if you want to. And there is something called AI Builder that's part of Power Platform. And although they are not listed here, but they were. So this, I think, is a bug. Okay, so I think that this is a bug. Let me try it here, because I think it's a bug, because then they disappear. It's very strange. But down here, I can actually add this one and the email classifier. It's an AI builder where I said take the texts, which comes from, in this case, an email, but it could be a conversation, and then divide this into groups of, support, sales, refund, etc. So this one is useful because I can use this one and then divide into an if, and say, if this is the thing, go to that topic and focus on refunds, and then ask questions. Okay, where do you want to refund this to? Give me your credit card to refunds. Okay, and those kind of things. Okay, so all of this is very practical, and you have a lot of options. Creating a prompt, you can handle prompts with natural language. So create a prompt and get an answer based on natural language and maybe some variables. And then you also have skills. What are skills? Skills are, you build stuff that then can be reused, which is a bit more reusable for the agent. Think of this as a module where you can have functionality built in as kind of a module. Okay, anyway, last but not least, we have advanced. So generative answers we saw, send HTTP requests, so REST API, and then some of these log telemetry, send an event, which is informational, send an activity, etc. So some of these are fairly new to the ecosystem, but these will grow as well. Worst case, I usually do this in the bots. So I call an action, which is call a flow, or just nowadays you can call them directly from here and send a thing to a SQL database and insert into a SQL database that's just sequential and log everything into a SQL database. You can do it in Excel, but I really like databases. Okay, so it's my option. But whatever option you have, it's okay with you. Last but not least, you can go for channels, and all of these channels, you can publish the bot in all of these channels. So your website or a custom website, so you have the codes in HTML. It's basically an iframe, but you can hack this with Ajax and get the content of the iframe and just show it directly without the iframe. Okay, demo website is just an address that has a nice website with the thing next to it. Mobile apps, Facebook, you have a page, Facebook pops up the thing and shows you the chat, and this can be very intelligent these days. Skype, still used, but Skype for Business is dead. Okay, Slack, Telegram, Twilio, etc. All of these are okay, or you can just connect to it via REST API and do your own thing. Okay, so it's up to you. So there's a few others here, but I have not explored these ones at the bottom, to be honest. And then you just click on publish. By the way, you can publish to more than one channel, but then you can click on publish, and I'm not able to do this. There's some errors there, I think. But you can just say publish, and then it's there, let's say a website or something like that, ready for you to use. Just as simple as this. Okay? So Sorry about the extra time that it took. Okay, I don't know if there's any questions. Please let me know. Okay, but in any case, if you do have questions, I'll be very happy to answer them either now or later on. If you want to reach out to me using LinkedIn or something like that, I'll be very happy to answer all of these questions. Okay, so anyway, mulțumesc. Thank you very much to everyone listening, and feel free to reach out at any time. Okay, my website is andy.pt. There, my contacts are there. Feel free to reach out. Okay. Anyway, thank you for having me, and let's continue the event. Thank you very much.
Mulțumim și noi, Andrei. Thank you. Thank you for being here. No questions yet. I was thinking of maybe going directly to the AI panel, because surely we're going to have some questions, and we already, in our internal chat, we had some very interesting discussion of things. So I'll just activate whoever switches on their camera. So Luis and Mihaela, feel free to join us.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello again.
Hey.
Luis is still is incognito. Whenever he's on, I'll put him on. Right. So yes, pays to look at two screens. Hi, Luis. Right. So maybe we're thinking of doing some sort of a fireside chat and discuss some of the your vision on some of the interesting things related to AI. So the audience is free to ask questions. I'll process them and put them live. But if the audience, that's a nice airport.
It's quite big. It's Istanbul Airport, the new one, so it's quite big.
Yeah.
And noisy as well.
Right. So I know, Luis, until no questions yet. I know, Luis, you wanted to discuss AI threats a bit. So I wondered what threats do you guys see related to AI, or how AI can be used in the hands of nefarious people?
Can I answer the question with a question?
That's my favorite way of answering.
By all means.
Can we consider not false expectations, but expectations when it comes to AI threat?
Sure. Yes.
Specifically in software development, like when it comes to the developer work, I'm wondering how you are seeing this, and if this can be a problem, actually putting this kind of expectations of, just having automatically having an application without actually needing the developer that much. The reasoning that the developer has. Do you think this can be a problem in the future? Or it can start to be a problem as we are having these expectations in.
Yes, I agree that we kind of see, okay, AI everywhere, or maybe even the customers want to just add AI because everyone is doing it, but they just say the developers or something, okay, just integrate AI. The thing here is to understand what you can do with AI, if your application really needs it, or if the solution could be engineered in other way. Let's say that we decide that, okay, we integrate AI. All right. So yes, these GPT models can automatically generate some solutions or can give us some answers. We can implement RAG pattern. Okay, yes. So there's a lot of things to learn. But of course, it's also important to understand, yes, the risks, the limitations, the expectations. Like, so we tested with this document, and maybe I can tell two things. First of all, the GPT model didn't answer because, and there could be several reasons. Maybe you just index the whole document, it was 100. And well, there are techniques to optimize this, like, okay, chunking. Okay, you can split, you can divide your document, so you would get better results. Second issue, okay, did you have access, I mean, not permission to that document? Because, well, probably we heard some cases that some company, I don't remember, probably it was Toyota or from some Korean company that used ChatGPT to answer some question about coding. Some developer used it, but the issue here is that, well, they provided like private code to ask questions to these models. Yes, they were able to solve some tasks faster, but on the other hand, they shared something which they were not meant to. So yes, I think that AI is great. AI can help us to I don't know, to deliver great products, but we also need to understand risks, permissions, limitations, expectations, as you mentioned, what we can do. So yeah, let's say that it is important to consider those or these risks, these limitations, when we decide, okay, we will use AI, we will integrate AI, but okay, it not only involves it is not only a coding task.
Makes sense for me. I also think that the expectations, especially from the business side, is that you'll get something reliable. And I know it's anything but. So like I've been involved in implementations in the core logic of apps, but also in chatbots. And in chatbots, it works so much better because then you can course correct during the chat. But if you expect reliability or any sort of performance, let's say metrics to be reached, it's quite interesting to reach them. And I think one cause for this is also the fact that not everybody is trained to look for these errors. So like I see data scientists doing better because they're skeptical by nature. And then they need to create a test data set and evaluate everything, and then maybe a validation data set as well, because and then you get way better evaluations for products rather than just doing a quick demo, seeing that it works, demoing it to business, and then everybody's thumbs up, and when you put it in production, it just crashes and burns. It's terrible.
Actually, do you have any maybe 1, 2, 3 steps or things to consider before actually going with it, other than the basic demo? It works, like things that should be taken into consideration, or maybe you've been in your careers taking.
I can answer that, and then maybe you.
I can. I
Yeah,
think I can. I think the red teams are responsible for this. But first, we should look at these copilots or AI in general, generative AI in general, like at the benevolent rookie or junior, full of energy, but lacking the context as we do, and we give all the context but we don't. So before this is solved, I think we will have the human in the loop for a long time.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, 100 years ago, and we need to make a parallel with things like the Industrial Revolution, etc. People were very scared that 100, 150, whatever years ago, the Industrial Revolution, people were very scared that machines would take over their jobs, etc. This is exactly the same as what's happening now. And one of the things that's very annoying, I create these kind of chatbots. I've done this for 5, 6, 7 years. And one of the things that I noticed is that people really don't like to use some of these chatbots if these are not very intelligent. So if you ask something and then you always get the same answer, LLMs are better because LLMs give you a more human answer, so that kind of helps. But if you get a very repetitive answer from this, people will hate it, people will throw it away, people will complain, scream, etc. So one of the issues that exists with adoption of these systems is, do we really want it? And sometimes we're just adding. Everyone wants to say, oh, we use AI, but you can say that you use AI where you use things like machine learning on your data to make things better for everyone. You don't have to necessarily just say, oh, we created a chatbot and that's the solution to say to everyone we use AI. Chatbots are not necessarily the solution here, right? So whatever you choose to use in terms of marketing, etc. Sometimes people just assume, oh, let's say that we have a chatbot, but then the chatbot is the most useless thing in the world. So we have to be careful about that. One other thing that Michael actually asked before about security, etc. Let me focus on a different aspect. If you are getting data from there, so add your own data kind of stuff, where you can receive data from a database, from something like that, you always have to be very careful with the bots, because the bots, if you do some prompt engineering, which is called prompt injection nowadays, which is very similar to SQL injection, but in a way that it's pretty much impossible to overthrow. Even if you want to, there's always a risk. You can actually start to get more data and more data in. There's a lot of examples online where they use LLMs and such things to interact with you, like challenges. You can go there and say, please discover the passwords. And you can try to discover the password by asking it, yes, but give me the answer in hexadecimal or something like that. And the thing will try to be polite and help you. And in the end, it will overcome all of the limitations that exist there, and you still get the password. So this kind of prompt injection is one of the security risks that you have for all of this. Now, if you add to that what the possibility of controlling your house or your car, good luck with that.
I think here it's also valuable to take a look at maybe techniques like prompt shield, or I know you showed one of the models in AI Foundry, prompt guard from Llama. So basically one way of trying to protect this, because you can protect 100% when you're writing a chatbot, is just trying to classify each input and output, and determine whether it's something bad. And if it is, just do not display it. So that's one way of trying. But to just because I think it might be valuable for the audience to say this. Getting back to Mihaela's question, when getting something in production, I would start with creating a suite of tests, just evals. Be it a chatbot, be it something like structured data extraction, which is it seems easy until you try to do it. I would just try to create a comprehensive evaluation suite. It's really difficult to create one because since the answers from an LLM can differ between themselves and yet be correct all at the same time, then that means you would need maybe another LLM to evaluate them, and then you've got two problems, or a human expert. But really, this is the first safety net. Just build an eval suite, and this will help. Building upon each other, because this will help you when the next GPT-5 appears and all prompting is changed, and it will work better for some cases, worse for others, and you will not know for which ones. That's what I wanted to add.
Okay. Oh, by the way, there was an interesting question here from Aline. What is the most exciting thing you will expect coming up in AI that could really change the game or shake things up? I would really love someone to clean my house. Okay. To be honest, just not a Roomba thing, because those things usually get cats on top of it, and just the cats, it's like a Uber for cats, right? It really doesn't work if you have cat hair in the bottom. But I would really, really like a robot that would clean my house, that would do the boring tasks that we really don't want to do, so that we can do the usual thing. So basically, what that other person mentioned in that tweet or something like that. So that is what I expect. Most people are focusing on, oh, let's integrate AI to make things amazing, put it in cars, etc. Put it in practical places. I know how to drive a car, and it's not difficult. Okay, you just turn on the key and there's a steering wheel and the thing just works. But honestly, cleaning up my house, it's a lot of work. So if you are a company that does vacuum cleaners and whatever, just work on that with AI. That's what I want to see.
Wasn't this Steve Wozniak's test? To build a robot that can handle any random kitchen all over the world. Let's do that. You have AGI.
Yes, I like an AI that solve tasks or challenges or can help us to have more time. I just heard once that people are worried that, okay, yes, AI can help me to write a poem, but I would like AI to help me do other things so I can write the poem, because what's the value, right? So I think that kind of related with what Andre said. I think that agents are taking the stage nowadays. Well, we saw it in the Ignite, but they have been around for some months. And these assistants that can do like or run the extra mile, like not text generation, but actually analyzing the input, the data that you provide, or maybe something they were trained on, like using fine tuning. Something that I just show very quickly, like, okay, create a chart, but what can I do with this chart? Like maybe, okay, send an email to some other person, compare a couple of this stuff. So in the end, these GPT models or LLMs, they are not simply providing text or generating text, but also doing something additional, right? Like speeding up or helping us to be more productive or to do other kind of tasks. But also maybe related, and I will finish with that. Let's not forget that the human, I mean ourselves, are the most important thing in everywhere. And Andre mentioned about industrial revolution. There was the fear, there was the fear that, okay, people would lose their jobs, but in the end, people adapt, or they learn how to use this tool to do more things. So I think, and probably you have heard this, like AI is not replacing you, but a person who knows how to use AI does or will do. So as Aline says, make AI do the boring, tedious chores. Yes, exactly. So we can focus on what matters or what can help us to be better, to be a better person, or just to have more free time. Why not?
So, just out of curiosity, about 15 years ago, 15, almost 20 years ago, actually, the .NET framework in 2005, they added something called Speech API, right? And this was very basic compared to what we have in AI these days. So this was just something where you write some words, and sometimes they kind of look like what you want to say, and they say it out loud. And they also recognize words, but you have to provide a list of words so that they try to find the best words. So this was a very basic prehistoric time for this kind of stuff, but it worked. So one of the things that I did was, I have this amazing technology. This is pretty much what you shouldn't do. And let me integrate this with this application that I currently have and that I'm developing, so that every time I receive a notification, I get a message saying, you have a notification, let's read it out loud, okay? Which I thought was a really good idea. So I leave it running for that day for some reason in the computer in my office, and there's like 4 more people working with me in that office. The next day, they were screaming at me, stop that, that is terrible, it spent all day saying things blah 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 blah, it is terrible, don't use it again, it's terrible. And you kind of think, well, the first hour that I used it was great, and I went home, and then I just left it there, and I thought, who cares? The next day I start to understand that having that functionality, in this case it was only speech, but it could have been something else, was so boring on an everyday basis that it was much disruptive. So the idea here is that if you want to use AI, if you want to use even literally that, so instead of reading things, you want to hear them out loud, because someone who has a disability might need that. So that's a functionality that's needed for some people, but maybe not for you and I, because it's very disruptive. It interrupts your work. It just stops everything, because you have to freeze everything and say, oh, I'm going to listen to this now. So those kind of things, or even using AI in some products, might be disruptive. So instead of being productive with the product, you're actually focusing more on using a new technology that you don't need than to actually do it. So what I usually say about this is, you should use the technology to suit a purpose that you already have. You shouldn't adjust your code, adjust your purpose to just use a new technology, okay? Because just using a technology for the sake of using a technology is just like, oh, I'm going to buy a new car and it's fun and I'm going to play around with it and race it and whatever. But your objective for a car is to drive from A to B. It's not because it's flashy or anything like that, or it speeds up 200 kilometers an hour or 300 in a track. That's not your objective. Your objective is just to use the car from A to B in a normal situation. Does it have the extras? Great. Okay, you'll use them once a year. That is a guarantee, but not more. But if you have generative AI, you will use it. Copilot, you will use it. There's usage examples for Copilot 365, even on certain companies, which I'm not going to name because these are called Microsoft. And sometimes the usage is, some people just use it once a month. Okay, you can go to Viv Insights or whatever that's called and get that dashboard and see the actual usage. And what you find is that no one uses it on Word. Many people use it on Excel. People don't use it in PowerPoint sometimes, or not, so depends. But the numbers are very picky. Okay, and is that okay? Well, we have the technology in our in our usage. If we're not forced to use it, we'll use it if it makes sense to use it. So to have it is not a bad thing, but to force the technology on us can be a negative thing, especially if you have no choice. So instead of following a sequence of steps in a screen, like check-in, an example of check-in in an airline, you go through a series of steps. If suddenly you have a Copilot that says, please check in, give me your number, give me this. Yeah, but I want to find out about my seats first. Oh, no, but you have to do this first because this is what I'm telling you. It's very disruptive, and then you just go to the next human when you check in person, okay, which is sometimes what I do in some airlines, but okay. So, yeah, what do you guys think of this?
It's all in the implementation.
Use it if you need it. If you don't need it, don't use it. And remember, Roombas, the vacuum cleaner, they run away. So there's photos of them running away through roads and everything, and they just take off, and you have no idea what they do. Some get run over by cars. I'm not kidding. Without cats on top.
Luckily.
Lucky for the cat.
Yeah.
The cat is more intelligent than that.
The cat is very aware of its domain, so it's a good
Actually,
intelligence, not artificial.
would you like to compare, let's say, a dog or a cat and AI, what do you, and maybe a 3-year-old kids. If we try to compare, we'll see different types of intelligence. So the cat and the dog, of course, a cat. Okay, a dog is very stupid. Okay, let's just get rid of the dog. It's very stupid. But if you have a cat, the cat is very intelligent. They know exactly what to do, but they have a purpose. They know exactly what they're supposed to do. AI, however, is LLM models, etc. They just try a sequence of ping pong attempts, and they just try to answer the next thing. There is no flow of this other than reading from the previous history and trying to organize this. But then it gets repetitive after a while because it doesn't make sense. If you have a kid, the kids will be okay, I'm not going to say very stupid because it's wrong to say that for a small kid, but the kid will grow in intelligence, okay? And that is the part that we expect. LLMs will not grow in intelligence unless you change the model. Cats will be intelligent to understand new things. Even there was a thing about crows putting foods from crows in hidden places, and the crows will use sticks and things to get the food. Even a crow, a bird, is very intelligent for this. And you don't have, at least at this moment, we still don't have the same intelligence in AI. But the scary thing is that these LLM models are getting so intelligent and so autonomous that they actually complain if you try to turn off part of their functionality. This has been happening in the last few months. That in the future, the LLMs will literally take over and be Skynets. Okay, so we always have to be careful about how we use it. If we start to depend on these bots for everything, and some people do, we know people depend on social media like Facebook, etc. People will depend on those bots, and if that happens, there will come a time where we're just completely dumb people that without the bots we cannot do anything. Well, there's a lot of sci-fi films that show how dumb a society can get to become if the computers take over, right?
Andre, this brings me back to the question which Aline put in the chat about what would be the next AI thing. And I got inspired by semantic kernel. It's agnostic agent in terms of models agnostic. They are because this is by design. Semantic kernel tries to abstract the work with the models. But what about environment agnostic? It scan for plugins and connectors, and of course the domain agnostic, which would be indeed very smart to connect to any domain to be able to scan for capabilities and then don't give them hand and leg, right?
So think about one thing. So we are talking about real world at this moment because it is real world. 5 years ago, this generative AI was just science fiction. In the 80s, you had talking cars, the kits and the car and all of those were talking cars that would fight each other, even jump and things, which is weird. Okay, I would love to have a car like that, but nowadays it's a reality. I can make a car that answers questions. I talk to the car answers back. I just have to get that voice from the 80s, from Knight Rider. I just need to get that voice, but I think the guy died already. But in any case, well, actually, there is technology to do that now. But the thing is, if you consider the 50s, films like 2001, where you had HAL 9000, even 70, 80 years ago, when the actual book, before the film, but when the actual book was created, and even when the film was created, because the film is from the 60s, we saw that machines could be rebellious and do something different. Yes, they had a purpose, etc. HAL 9000 had a purpose, whatever. But for a human, this could cause them to be dead in the middle of that spaceship and things like that. So this can be a risk for the actual humans. In fact, we had a situation a few weeks ago, a few months ago. I think it was in Italy, but I could be wrong, where there was a self-driving car that, because some humans got in front of that car in the middle of the road, it diverted to the wrong lane and crashed head-on into a different car. Okay, so what would you do if you were a human? I would probably just brake. Okay, I wouldn't turn. I would just brake as much as I could, and then maybe they would jump over the car or something, but they would still be alive. But the AI decided that the best option was to turn left and crash into the other car. Was that intelligent? No idea. Did they see the other car? No idea. Okay, but consider this: what would you do? Review the film. What would you do if you were in that situation? Would you turn left? Would you go in front and just kill the person? Would you do something? I don't know. But what would you do? And then you would kind of figure out that maybe you do something different than the AI. Maybe you do literally the same thing. But this is the problem, because the AI is getting to think almost like us. Maybe not so much. Still crashes cars. The best option would be not to drive so fast, of course. But in any case, these kind of things are still happening. In the future, AI will improve. So we have GPT-4 Omni at this moment, O1. These are much better and much more intelligent than GPT-3 and GPT 3.5. What will happen, as you mentioned, when we get to GPT-5? Much more knowledge, 1,000 times more knowledge, 1,000 times more intelligence. What will happen? I have no idea. Okay, but in a certain point, machines will take over, and they can literally achieve consciousness. Okay, because we get to a point where our brains, and we can define the size of our brains can accumulate a lot of knowledge, but they also have processing in the brain itself. If you consider the amount of capability that we have in the clouds to process these large language models, this becomes comparable to an actual brain. So having consciousness is the possibility in the near future, in the next 5 years, and that is very scary.
There are quite a few things which are limiting this. I mean, it's preventing to become reality, if not for other reason, but because there is limited computing power available. Then maybe this will got changed by quantum computing, or maybe, and then it's the energy, not enough energy. And not the last, but the knowledge, it's quite limited, right? So when we will reach this, okay, this is the all knowledge we can use for training, no more.
Well, in economy, I learned that the human nature of the human resources is finite, and the nature of human ambitions is infinite. So I think economy could teach us that never.
Yes, it is true that every time that we send a request to the cloud to these models, LLM models, it is expensive in terms of energy that is required for the compute that you mentioned. So if for consumption it requires some energy, you can imagine how much energy is required for training. There are some companies, for example, Microsoft, that the data centers are like in the ocean, or they reuse, recycle water, so it helps a bit. But still, I think that the resources we have, yes, they are finite. So we will end up with them at some point, or it will be. I think it is already a problem or an issue, but it will become greater as time goes by. The same could be said about other technologies like smartphones or maybe the car, but still, it is an issue. Let's say we talk about generative AI, but there are several things around it. We talk about security, but yes, also the environmental impact is also worth mentioning it. So yeah, that's also some issue that, okay, it is nice to have these solutions, but it's important to think or to consider also about it. Maybe some alternatives. I don't know. Maybe some local models that can help to reduce the cost of using the cloud, for example. I don't know. Maybe some alternatives could be considered.
I may have a new theory why we were not conquered by alien civilizations. They don't need our planet, not us, only our data. Give us your hard drives and we go.
So they will get our data and they will spam us emails from the other side of the galaxy. Actually, one of the things that we mentioned is very important. So the energy required for a lot of these things is very curious. I usually make this comparison. It's not related to AI, but it's related to blockchain. If you start to use blockchain, Bitcoin, pretty much, and a lot of people say, "Oh, we need to replace Visa networks and Mastercard and whatever with blockchain." Let's say Bitcoin. I actually did the math, and the problem is that there was a limitation on Bitcoin, which is about 50,000 usages per second. Okay, this is a hard limit because you cannot do more, and even if you have many more transactions, they get selected as the richest transactions because there was a reward associated with it. So you might not be able to pay for years if your value is too small. So that is a limitation that the Visa network, the MasterCard network doesn't have. The funny thing is I did the math on how much it would cost to replace just the Visa network. I did the math, found out how many transactions per second, per minute, etc. And the number is a very small number. So you would need 1.5, in terms of energy, 1.5 suns per year to run a blockchain equivalent of the Visa network. And I mean 1.5 suns, I mean the actual star, okay, per year. So you pretty much burn the planets with that quantity of energy. And by the way, I was very conservative to do this math. So the number is probably like 10 times bigger, okay, not smaller. So here's the thing. For data centers are, as Luis mentioned, becoming underwater, using solar panels, using wind energy, etc. All of this, but there is also another thing that's kicking in, especially in the last few years, which is you have people like AMD, Nvidia, Intel, and all of these other ones developing chips which are optimized to do the equivalent of AI processing. So doing neural networks, doing generative pre-trained transformers like the GPT models. So they have specific hardware to do similar things like those transformers over there, but in hardware. So that saves a considerable amount of money. Okay, so this in the future will be available on a phone. In fact, if you consider 10 years ago, when you had Cortana on the phones, you would start to have Cortana. So you would open the phone and say, hi Cortana, blah, blah, blah. But then you start to have a chip on your phone, this was 10, 15 years ago, that would recognize someone saying, hey, Cortana, and would pop up the phone automatically. So this was hardware. It didn't consume as much as software would consume to recognize, hey, Cortana, but it would be hardware. So we're going to get all of this hardware. In fact, you have Samsung phones which are AI based, and you can just do AI stuff, which no one is actually going to use most of the time. Okay, but people are buying that stuff because it's very trending at this moment. Okay, so not sure what the future will hold, but saving money on infrastructure, on electricity, etc., is also a goal, at least for the major companies running cloud as well.
I was about to suggest that everybody should buy M series Max and run everything locally to save the planet. But
we need to buy 286 computers, like the really old ones. Those cannot be hacked by AI. Those are good.
Yeah. I had a 486. It was glorious. Yeah.
I still have those kinds of computers, so it's nice to play around with. You can go low level with the electronics. That's quite fun. You cannot do that in a normal computer these days.
No. For better or worse. Let's say.
Okay, so do we have any additional questions?
I think not, and we're already close to our ending. But maybe I don't know. Maybe we can all go round robin, and say everyone what they're most excited about in the coming year, just 1 year. So what do you think will be most exciting in the next 2025? Mihaela.
when I saw the question before, I was thinking, like Andre was saying about practical things, and I was thinking, okay, I would like to have a physiotherapist. Someone that can actually evaluate me, tell me exactly what kind of exercises I have to do when I have to stand up, stuff like this. But in the next year, I think that not that I'm excited, but I hope for more maturity when it comes to using these tools. I hope that we are going to have more feedback from big products, big projects, big teams, in order to actually be able to gather some data and use them, in a more informed manner. This would get me very excited about having actually something that we can put a finger on and say, okay, this is where we can start. Right now, I feel that we are still experimenting. I was just looking that things are changing very quickly. If you just go on the internet and you're searching for, like information, uh, things that were posted maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago or 3 months ago become to be outdated. So you're like, okay, this is not, so things are evolving and everyone is very excited, but at the same time, there are no, at least to my knowledge, there are no like things that we can draw some conclusions on. More like we are experimenting and each has its own experience. But yeah, let's see. I'm looking forward for this. I'm searching, all sorts of data, all sorts of, if there are researches already on this matter, but yeah, not so much.
Okay, who's the next victim?
Well, yeah, on my screen, Luis, you're just next to Mihaela. On everyone's screen. Too much teams.
Yes. Okay. So in my case, I would also maybe not excited, but I would like more an AI accessible to more people. I mean, I know that there are some efforts. There are open source models. There are technologies like code spaces where you can very quickly launch some models, use Olama and other technologies. But still, I think some efforts must be done by big companies, or maybe even by us, in the sense to share, let's say, knowledge, expertise with other people, especially, I don't know, students or young people who have a lot of fresh ideas or how to change the world. Because, well, of course, every one of us um, have jobs or do something in our everyday basis. But students, or we can remember when we were younger, that we were full of energy, full of ideas, that we thought about a lot of things, and maybe they just need some access to technology to spark, to ignite those ideas. So I believe that an improved access or more access to these technologies can help. So yeah, I think that the AI is there, the generative AI, the models. Yes, it is nice to have new capabilities, but probably more people like involved on it will get the best from both worlds, technology and also us. Mhm.
We need to increase the distribution. Thank you, Luis. Andre?
Okay, so I'm actually on your left side at this moment, at least on my screen. It
Yeah.
really depends. So, okay, consider this. AI has been used for fun. Nothing wrong with that. We've been using, in the last 5 years, we've been using AI to change people's faces. Actually, 10 years or more, change people's faces, etc. It's fun. It's okay. We can use this for fun, but we should use this for work. One of the examples of work is to do data processes. We need to handle data. The world only progresses with data. It's not with just LLMs. That just stupefies the world. It's actually processing data. One of the examples that we can use for process data that people aren't using but they should use more in the coming years is that before we had very formal ETL processes and the data came in with different formats, etc. With LLMs, we can say, look, I don't care what format it has, understand it, and give me a result that's always coming out in this format, in this JSON table, whatever formats. Okay, so we can uniform a lot of data that usually for a human would be a lot of work, but we can make it uniform. Now, I'll continue this on a completely different level and say that one of the things that I would like to see in the future, which is not happening now, currently what's happening is AI in general is being used as well for, cyber warfare. We know that this is used for a lot of world conflicts, etc., bots, etc., that are generating, trash in social network. I would like to see someone find a way to use AI, but for good, okay? And I don't mean this in a pitch like Miss Universe pitch, oh, let's have world peace. I don't mean it like that, okay? What I mean is that there are a lot of bots in the world that are managed automatically that cause harm, disrupt elections. Romania had this kind of issue just 1 week or two ago, so a lot of
Rings a bell.
a lot of issues. It's not just there; it's literally everywhere. But I would like to see these kind of bots fighting what other bots are doing. So yes, a cyber war, but a cyber war in which we can actually get bots to do something useful and not just harm the world as it's been happening with social media and bots in social media. So I'm not sure what the future will hold, but future wars. We think that future wars are physical in person, and they have been in the last 2 or 3 years. But this will eventually end, and cyber wars will be a thing, disruption of services, etc. So they don't send missiles; they disrupt using AI, they disrupt using hacking, etc., which has already been happening in the last few years. So this is sadly the future. So if you can use AI to disrupt this kind of attacks and to make things better, that would be great. So if you are thinking about ways to use AI, especially this is targeted at people who are mostly academic, etc., that actually have some free time, like I used to do many years ago. So invest some time into investigating ways that you can use AI, any kind of AI or technology in general, to make these kind of things a bit better. Winner, Miss Universe.
Damn.
Okay, not yet. Okay, but okay.
I'll add something to that. I totally agree with what you're saying, but I think Daniel is up next.
Yeah. I think there are some still big problems to be solved, but I think the future belongs to on-premises small language models as well, because now I will estimate by heart, like 90% of the computers are not AI ready, and the legacy code even less. So how can we use AI? I think the small language models, which they have a big share here, and I don't know, maybe we should wait for something like micro AI agents, but we will have to democratize the AI for small processes and old applications. I simply don't like the AI in a cloud. I mean, it's good, but doesn't cover everything, and it will not cover everything.
And it changes all the time,
Yeah.
unfortunately. In my case, yeah, I would really like more open source models. But by open source, I don't mean stuff like, Llama, Quen, or stuff like that, because those aren't open source. Those are freeware, right? So I would like, and I'm excited because I think in the past month they released a small LM or something like that with an open data set. I would like to go what data goes into the training, because if I don't know that, then I can't really trust the model. As we've seen with the Romanian elections, let's say a foreign platform was used, an opaque platform, to bubble up certain videos and make them viral, right? A platform on which Europe doesn't have any control. They don't know what algorithm is used to bubble up that content. And if you think about it, this also applies to large language models. So if you don't know what data is fed to a model, you don't know what it will respond in some cases. Let's say when it's in charge of launching an attack, like with OpenAI and their military applications announced this week. Right. So if you don't know what's in there, you won't know how it can react to certain cases. And you won't know if it has a certain trigger or not. So then I would be wary of using models trained by states with misaligned interests with Europe, let's say, because we don't know what's in there. So I'm excited about more fully open models. To add on what you said, Andrew, about making things more safe. I guess is this it? Oh my God. Well then, thank you so much, everyone, from Daniel and me, for joining us. Thank you. The 4 people who remained. Is it us? I think it's us. Do you guys have a stream? No.
Not sure.
It's actually real people.
It's real people. It's not bots.
It's not our family or someone.
Hi, Aline. All right. So thank you all for staying. Thank you all for joining. It's been great. And
sorry, Vlad. This will be there on our YouTube.
This will be there.
That's important.
Yes.
We can share. We can.
You can see all the bloopers live recorded.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you very much, guys.
See you soon. Thank you for having us. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for being there as well.
Thank you.